It is Footy and Frothies here for our season preview. Welcome aboard everyone who's jumped on for the first time. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn Radio and YouTube if you're watching this for the first time. Back for season 2021 after a few off-season shots between Barney and myself and Trev. We've got the full crew in here, special crew in today to have a look through each and every team as we head into 2021. First of all, Barney, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, going really well. Yes, going really well, mate.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. So, it's a couple of weeks away now. We see all the first graders back on the field this weekend.
Yep.
Should be a whole heap of trial games, which I'm looking forward to sitting down and spending some time in front of.
So, yeah, the plan at the moment is we'll redo a top-up show, I guess, from the trials next Wednesday and just have some comments on the trials and what we saw and what we thought of. I guess any thoughts on top of this as well as the news before we head into the season. Trev Smith here from Serious About Rugby League, the Western Sydney Rugby League Academy and regular rugby league man about town as usual. Trev, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. What's news?
What's news? Not much, to be honest. Just going with the flow, getting ready for the footy season ahead. It's been pretty busy and pretty full on.
And making his Footy and Frothies debut, Toddo is joining us. Bit of a footy expert. He's worked a little bit within the game. Going to give us a quick background of your footy history?
Yeah, mate. I loved footy my whole life and was lucky enough to work for the Panthers for about 5-6 years there in a number of different roles. Some media manager, membership manager, some sponsorship stuff. So, got to kind of do my dream job, and yeah, it was good fun.
Excellent. And you follow Panthers?
I do, yeah. Panthers fan, mate.
Yep. No, all good. Won't hold that against you. How'd last season treat you? How was the ups and downs of last year?
Yeah, it was a consistent season for Penrith, that massive winning streak. But, it's good to back-to-back final series. Obviously making the grand final, it's a highlight. We haven't done it too many times in our history, but fell one game short, but it should be a good experience for them for this year.
Yeah, cool. Your passion for the game, obviously you watch a lot of footy. Do you get involved with Supercoach, tipping comp, that sort of thing?
Yeah, mate. Love my Supercoach, tipping comps, all over it.
Well, we had a quick talk. We had our thoughts on Supercoach last week, and I think as we get through, as we've done, I guess, our homework for this week, we've had a few changes of ideas as we've had a deeper delve, or at least I have. So we'll talk about it as we go through and jump in with any Supercoach thoughts, Toddo, and we'll...
Yeah, well, let's ask you for any picks you might have there, mate. I've played 2 comps with Toddo, and both times he's left me for dead. So.
Well, just quickly, have you had a look this year? Is there anyone that really interests you yet, or are you going to wait and see what comes out?
Yeah, wait for team list Tuesday. If I do it now, I'll make too many changes. So.
No, that's okay. Any rule of thumb you tend to follow?
No, just the rookies and the guns. Try to keep away from the mid-ranges. Try and pick my 5 or 6 that I'm going to keep for the whole year, and then base my rookies around. It looks like they're going to have a good year, and just build that cash.
No, cool. Well, let's get into quickly. I said we'll do the news next week, but quickly we'll get into the changes for the comp itself this year. Obviously, reserve grades going to be very important this year. There's the extended bubble. They're going to play 3 grades. There's a push to play 3 grades on a Saturday now, which I guess is great.
Logistics will be interesting to see how they're going to do that, especially if you do have bubbles come back in at some point. But.
And they had a rule change in relation to qualification, Trevor, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. So from round 10, that they can use players that are outside the top 25, top 30 contracted players, I believe, which is good. So it gives the players who are part-timers playing in the New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup, if they're playing good footy and they deserve it, give them their shot in first grade so they can drop players back who are full-timers.
It gives the clubs a little bit of relief as well, I'd imagine there.
That's right. And they only just got to pay match payments.
So is that how it's going to work? Just straight match payments?
Straight match payments, yeah.
Wow. I suppose if you're in that position, it's a good audition for the year after. Worst case, getting match payments. And
well, I don't know the exact ruling on it, but my understanding is if they play a certain amount of games, and the following year, they're worth that plus the minimum NRL contract.
Okay. So what have they got in the match payments plus minimum?
Yeah, because that's what happened with Mike Acevo in his rookie season at Parramatta.
Which is what, 120?
Makes sense.
Yeah, 120 now is the minimum, yeah.
Gone up to 120 now, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was 75. Jesus.
Yeah, well, you still got the development contracts, which are even getting less.
Yeah.
If you're in the top full-time contract, I believe it's 120 now.
Wow.
Cool. So that's, I guess, the off-season changes. on season, so we've had the much maligned 2.40 metre field goal. Does anyone think that's actually going to come into much play, or
The Greg Inglis rule, is
the
it?
Greg Inglis rule? Yeah.
Well, until we see the footy happen, we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know. That's right.
So
Yeah. I okay, sorry, go on.
yeah, I'm not against it. I mean, anything to make it more exciting. And we know the refs put away their whistle towards the end of the game. So if you're down by 2 and you hit 40 out, why not have a crack and,
Yeah.
and see if you can
Push for golden point, yeah. I think the majority of the time you might see it's probably maybe leading into half time when you're 40, 50 out and you no chance of scoring in the next 20 seconds, so you just have a crack. But
Let me guess, breaking news, Pat Richard makes a return.
he'd probably get a bit of extra
Mate,
coin.
He'll get
Well, I think it. Well, it used to be a pet play. It might still be actually this year, but it was a pet play of Benji's just to have a shot from halfway on the buzzer.
Yeah.
Won us a couple of games over the years, but it. I think the main time it's kind of plays. Yeah, a minute to go either way, either before half time or down, or if they're taking a piss and they're up by 40 and they're just start having pot
crack
shots.
for the fun
I
of
think
it.
that's when it's going to
Yeah,
happen. But
that's right.
interesting to see. 6 again now for offside as well. I think that's a big change. So no more penalties on the line, resetting your line.
Speed it up again.
Yeah, I just don't like it coming off your own line. You get an offside penalty and you don't get the chance to kick for touch
Yeah.
anymore. I feel like it should be a bit of leeway.
sort of
with-
felt
give
that
the option
myself,
if
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
if you're less than 30 metres out from your own line. I think the team should be able to say no. We'll take the kick for touch. Thanks.
We'll
Yeah,
kick it down to halfway, yeah.
Like just with my coach, and we got to play in a few trial games with those rules, and mate, to be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of it.
Yep.
No, definitely, because most people know, when you slow down and play the ball, you get a penalty. That gives that relief. But if you're just going to get 6 again coming off your own, teams are just going to do it all day. And so
Especially if they're under the pump. You
That's
sort of
right.
get that half a second to reset as well. Like
That's
I know,
right.
I
It's
imagine it'll
6
be
again, but-
similar to be. I think it essentially create more insistence in having to bin someone, because if you're going to give away 2 or 3 in a row, there's going to
Yeah.
start giving last warning. All right, you're going. Then actually kicking for touch.
Yeah, but in attacking positions, yeah, of course, it'd be real good because they're not going to be trying to fly off the line as much. But coming out of your own end, could hurt.
In a game where they're already complaining maybe it's too fast injury wise, do you reckon that's
It's
going to
probably
help that
get
at
a
all?
bit quicker, no. It's not going to slow it down.
The scrum. So now you have to stay in the scrum till the referee yells break. If I think they get 1 warning and repack it, and then it'll be a penalty.
Okay.
Play the ball now instead of a scrum when the ball goes into touch.
Yeah.
We saw that last week in
It
the
came into
All
play
Stars
last week.
game. Does
Yeah.
it make much of a difference?
Not really. No.
You know what? The good thing about it, okay, and I'm going to just revert to the trial games that we used it in. Our team and even the opposition team, when they knew they had that ball, because they could pick anywhere within that, they just pick up the ball, run to the mark where the referee is, and just play it straight away.
Yeah.
There's no waiting for the defence. But then again, it comes down to the referee and what they want to do. But if they want to allow a quick play ball to happen from it, why not?
Obviously, you're going to see a lot less game management with trying to kick into touch.
But
You're going
is
to
it
see a lot of people not doing it.
Keeping
So
the ball in.
I dare say you're going to see a lot more floating bombs to the corners and just trying to keep it in the air as long as you can and get
Yep.
down there. But
Well,
speed things up a little bit.
yeah. Well, and on the back of that, speaking of speed up, it's now a handover for incorrect play the ball straight away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I don't mind
blow
that.
the whistle handover. Captain's challenge gets retained if it's inconclusive. I don't know how often that necessarily will come up over the years, but over the year. But that's in play as well. I can't think of too many times.
There's only once or twice, I think, last
That's yeah. So I
year.
guess
So you
it's
keep
there.
your challenge and goes with ref's call, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mate, actually, it's probably a better. Yeah, it's probably just going to be if you get a ref's call, it's going to be keep your challenge. The bunkers now, we saw it again last week. The bunkers now automatic, so they either blow a try or no try, and the bunker will check anyway.
Yep.
Did that really have an effect last week? I think it was okay.
No, I didn't mind that. We saw it the last couple of games last year too. They tried that, didn't they? Just
Yeah, they did.
The lower,
a couple of the lower games. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that came in on when the South game when the winger put it down on the touchline and
Yeah,
it didn't get reviewed. The
in touch,
ref
yeah,
gave
yeah.
it and the bunker couldn't come in because
Yeah.
he'd already
Yeah.
blown the try. So
Uh,
I like it.
And now, if the trainer's on the field for an injury, they have to take the player immediately off the field for at least 2 minutes.
Yeah, so just with that, the blue shirt trainers were allowed to run on and just be on there at the back while their team was in possession. Now they only got they're only allowed out there 3 times to send a message,
Okay.
and they have to hand a card over to the sideline official.
Like an interchange, yeah.
And, but they're allowed to go out on the field to grab a player off for interchange. But if they're seen sending a message, they got to hand a card over.
Wow.
So you're going to
it's
see
gotta
the
be on
blue
and off.
shirts off the field less as well this
Yeah.
year. And also they're allowed on, like, if there's a break in play, like stoppage and that. But
That's not a bad thing, I don't think. And the fans have been crying out for ages for, if he goes down, get him off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's right.
you might see a few less people rolling around on the ground.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I guess it's all geared. All those changes are geared towards it being a faster game again,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it was a faster game this year. So that's probably going to come into play with some teams we talk about. Any final thoughts on the rules, Toddo? Happy to move on.
I think these rules, we tend to get a whole swag of them each year, new rules, and they don't really have too much of an impact on the comp. I just want the footy to come back and start.
Well, and the thing is, I hope they don't make this a habit, because I thought last year was one of the most entertaining years in a long time. I really enjoyed it, and you don't want it to go too far the other way where they're tweaking everything every 12 months. Just quickly, so I had a quick look through the draws and put together a sort of matrix, which you can see there, whatever it all means. But I based this on how many times the Canberra one's a typo, should be 16. How many times the teams each play a team from the bottom 8 from last year, and then I sort of picked out what I think are probably going to be in contention for the top 5 this year: Panthers, Storms, Roosters, Raiders, South. So a point for playing the bottom 8 and a point off for the top. So as you can see, Raiders came out 10 points, Newcastle, Cowboys, Newcastle 9 points, Cowboys, Titans, Sharks all on 8. And the rest, apart from Brisbane and Melbourne, who seem to play the top teams most of the year. Any thoughts on that, boys? Look, the short is Canberra have a pretty good draw for the team they're going to be, and Newcastle Cowboys have a favourable one as well. Any thoughts?
Yeah, man, draw's a draw. Just play what's in front of you. Turn up each week.
Yeah, the bottom 8 teams aren't necessarily the bottom 8 teams this year.
Exactly.
So
But I had to put something in place there. So
read into it too much.
It's generally the way they look at it, though. Most people, when they come up with the strength of schedule or whatever they want to call it, and obviously the lower teams don't get to play themselves, so that's a bit of a disadvantage as well.
I started out doing the 7-day turnarounds and stuff as well, but gave up after I realised it was going to take me 8 hours.
I think the list you've got there is pretty close, to be honest. I went through it myself and had a bit of a look at it and just probably gave a few more points to the teams that I think are going to be stronger than some of the other ones.
And the thing is, you've got those. I started out, the reason Canberra are wrong, because for the first 6 games I treated the Sharks as a bottom 8 team, and I realised they weren't, but they probably are this year. And Melbourne and Brisbane do have a lot of Thursdays and Fridays.
Broncos have probably got the hardest draw, coming off a wooden spoon.
Yeah, but then they've got, I think, 14 Friday night games, and Melbourne have quite a few 7 and 8 day turnarounds as well. So
Raiders and Knights seem to have a fairly good draw, and
Yep.
Parramatta's got a good start to the year. But
I guess we'll. Any other thoughts before we get in, as on the comp as a whole, before we get into our team by team preview for Footy and Frothies?
until you get the top 30 squads, we've got a pretty good idea of what they're going to be. We're still a little bit hypothetical at the moment, but
Yeah.
no.
But really, I think at this stage, the only ones we're waiting on, I guess, Cameron Smith. The longer it goes on, the more I think it's probably 60% Titans, 40% Brisbane, and that's about it if he plays at all.
Yeah, I don't think he's down in the park kicking footies by himself if he's not playing. I think he's playing this year. We know it won't be at the Storm. It's, down to those two.
Well, we know that he bought a house on the Gold Coast last year.
Yep.
His kids are being on to a school on the Gold Coast. So
I think
as
you
we
might just
know-
want to have a look for 4 or 6 weeks and then say,
Well,
are they going to be, they're going to get close to the comp or
Well,
not?
I think based
Do
on
I
market
bother
value,
or not?
he has to essentially sit out until April anyway, I think, to get him under a contract at market value.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then there's rumour of him having still a bit of a pec and shoulder injury. So I guess there won't be. I'm sure he's made a decision, but he won't be legally
No,
allowed to tell us.
can I just throw a hypothetical?
You may
out there?
hype away.
Mate, it's just a hype. Craig Bellamy's, as we know, there's been talks of him being a coaching director at Cronulla. You could be waiting to see what Bellamy's doing and get a job at Cronulla.
Possibly.
Not saying that's
And
a player,
same-
but hey, it
And
makes
same,
sense.
I would have the same argument for Brisbane, because for a long
same for
time there, Brisbane were mooted that they were going to, for everything, get Bellamy as a director.
Yeah.
And he could come in as a first grade coach or assistant coach and be
That's
set
right.
up for 20 years if that's what he wants. So yeah, exactly. I think he's probably waiting a little bit. but I'm sure he's got an idea.
Yeah.
Let's get in our team. So we're going to go in alpha order. It's the easiest way for us to put this all together, alphabetical order.
Has someone proof checked this, mate? The alphabetical
No, it's
order?
awful.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
yeah.
You're right?
I before E, except after C,
Okay.
I think.
Starting with the Warriors.
Starting with New Zealand Warriors. Yeah, it's the. But let's start with the Brisbane Broncos. 2Bs there gets us in first. The Wooden Spooners from last year, and probably an interesting way to kick off. I don't really need to read out I'll just read out the gains and losses, I suppose, instead of the top 30. But you've got them there, boys.
Don't worry about
If you have a
top
comment, say the losses: McCulloch to the Dragons, Fafita, Darius Boyd's retired, Gillette retired, O'Sullivan to the Warriors, Jack Bird, Joe Galway, Jamal Hopewade, Jordan Kahu, Richie Kentner, Viduko, Isaac Luke have all been released. The gains: Asiata from North Queensland, Dale Copley from the Titans, David Mead back from Catalans, former Cowboy, Titans player.
Oh, he's
Titan.
been
Titan.
there, Titans
Yeah.
there.
And Isaiah Tass has come up from developmental. You can see there, I guess I've also thrown down a bit of a best 17 for you guys. But Barney, how are you approaching the Brisbane Broncos for this year? If you have some question marks, well, obviously plenty of question marks. How are you
Plenty of
approaching
question
them?
marks. First question mark's probably Asako at the back. I don't think we saw anything out of him last year to confirm that he's going to be a starting fullback or stay there for the entire season. Copley and Mead, where they end up coming into the team, where they end up playing. There's question marks all the way through this Broncos team, mate. I don't expect them to improve a great deal from where they were last year, to be honest. I've got some more points, but anybody else got?
No,
any
we'll go to
ideas on what's
Toddo.
going
Jump
on?
in there, and we'll throw some more chat around. But we'll get a quick précis of your thoughts, Toddo.
I agree with Barney. Asako, he had a chance last year, and then they shifted him out to the wing and put Tessie New there, who didn't set the world on fire either. But for me, the halves, Croft, I think he looked good in the Melbourne system, but he hasn't
Shown
kind of
himself up.
developed. No, and did and's unproven as well. So they used to always talk about their forward pack being unbelievable, the best young forward pack in the game, but even it's not looking too menacing this year on paper. So with playing behind that pack with those halves, yeah, I see another long year for the Broncos.
Trev?
I'm going to expect a little bit of improvement from the Broncos this year. I think what Kevin Walters has done, and I'm not going to talk about what they've got in their playing roster, but bringing in guys like John Cartwright and Terry Madison, who are probably two of the best assistant coaches in the game out there to help with this young team, I reckon that will help them moving forward big time.
One other point I have, I wonder if Kevy's going to ban the Broncos from saying the opposition teams all year like he did in Origin.
That's a long year. Sure, he might just be barred for. He might bar himself from video sessions just to make it easier.
And if the coach whisperer is going to get a retainer with
Yeah, I don't
Broncos.
think he'll get another job that play.
He might not have a job at the moment. Yeah, well, first question mark, Kevy Walters. What does he actually bring to? We don't know, obviously, but can you see him actually bringing enough to change a team that's run last culture?
Again, another unproven thing in this setup. I think you'll get some more effort out of them. I think a lot of times last year they just didn't put the effort in. Like they didn't want to play for the coach at all at different points of last year. So
Yeah.
I think he gets a bit more effort out of them, but I don't know if he's going to do a lot with them with them tactically.
Well, I think it's and I guess that comes back to the assistant coaches.
Yeah,
So,
like having John Cartwright and Terry Madison, they're veterans. Like, yeah, we know John was the inaugural coach of the Titans and done well with them. But as an assistant coach, he's been with the Roosters. He's been everywhere and he's had success at most places he's been. Terry Madison, again, you know, another great assistant coach. I believe he was with the Cowboys when they won it. Yep. So they've got a good coaching staff to bring these players together. So, as we heard, the problem with Seabold, he wanted to do everything himself.
Yep.
Didn't want to rely on his assistant coaches. So, obviously, that caused reef between the players and the coaches and all that, from what we've been told.
Yep.
So, now Kevy's there, and you're only as good as your assistant coaches.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, they're going to be working as a team.
I just wonder if those three, they're all pretty old, three kind of old school coaches. I wonder who they've got helping the halves in the back line and tactically, like Barney said, those three, they might fire him up. and
Hasn't he
get some
already
effort.
engaged? So he's already got Tallis back in, and I think Lockyer's back, and another
Well, Lockie's always been there anyway.
and
so
another legend. So you'd hope Lockyer probably has a little bit to do with that. But
He's more on the board though, isn't he? Like,
Yeah, he's
a
hasn't had
director.
but I
hands
think
on
he's
stuff,
he's
so.
tried to all these people that have fallen out with the club. He's tried to get back into the loop. So
That can only be a
I
good
guess
thing.
hopefully,
Good
yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
If you like, if Darren Lockyer's on your board, you can put a pair of shorts on and go and
Obviously,
help Tom Dearden.
Haas is out for a month, which is not going to
Yeah.
help.
So, well, my thoughts for a couple of the points is it's all in it, Trev. Like I want to give them. They did start the comp as almost favourites last year. They were world beaters first two games,
First 2 games, yeah.
and I thought they were just very, very good. And then the rules changed. Everything changed. I think the coach lost the dressing room. In their favour again is the 7-day turnarounds. That said, they're going to be down past. They're almost their two best attacking players, really, Haas and Staggs for the first 4 rounds, and I think at least
It's like 8 or
8 or
something,
9.
isn't it? Yeah.
And that first month is Eels, Titans, Bulldogs, Storm. So they're probably going to be playing from 0 for 4. And that's a hard way back when you're already against it. The positives, though, if they get their forward pack on the field, they got a forward pack of Haas, Lodge, Carrigan, Tavita Pengai, Flegler.
Not
Yeah,
much-
Alex Glenn, the captain as well. Sorry, he was just named captain today. I was just trying to forget his name. That's a top 8 forward pack if they
Pengai
turn
June,
up.
yeah.
But
I think
maybe
Ricky might be one on the way up too.
and
Jordan
Ricky will
looks-
probably end up starting.
Looks okay.
There's
Um,
not much experience or senior kind of figures in that pack,
Yeah.
though. That's the worry. If they all kind of go off the boil a bit, who's going to bring them back and
Yeah.
refocus them?
Carrigan did play Origin last year, so he's probably the natural leader going forward, and was just super
Given
all
that
year.
last year as well. Wasn't
Flegler, I know, finished the year injured, but he was pretty good for that middle part when they had very little to offer.
Does Corey Oates end up going in the back row? or
Yes, yeah,
does he
he's
stay in the-
training his back row, I believe.
I think it might end up costing him his position by the end of the year. I think.
Well, he's not a very explosive back row. He's
You've got
just
Asiata there.
a workhorse.
Just come in.
Yep.
He could end up out of the 17. To be honest.
Asiata, and not a lot there. The male out of which wasn't televised, the male out of the trials was that Matt Lodge looked very good coming back.
Yeah.
He was obviously injured most of last year. Tessie New looked all at sea everywhere he went, and Albert Kelly, who's come over, just looked like a bit of
Zolly's
someone
mate
who should be
has
playing
hyped
park
him
football.
up.
So we've probably spent enough here. But the thing is, and it's a very interesting thing for the whole year, is every squad you actually go through, probably 2/3 of the teams next year have more than 2/3 of their players off contract at the end of next year. Like next year is going to be a feeding frenzy. There's money. There's going to be some young players getting offered big money.
Yep.
Then you got someone like Anthony Milford. He might not have a job. He's on $1 million. He might not have a job at the end of next year. Like He's got a lot to prove. Is he going to go anywhere? Has he
So
got,
you
can he?
heard
where
my
does-
thoughts all at the back end of last year, mate. I would have dropped him at the back end of last year, but
Yeah, and I think he's injured for the first couple.
Yeah.
That said, there is the base of a spine because I've always really liked Tom Durden. I like Turpin, and if they
Durden
can
and
get
Turpin,
probably play more direct through those two, they need the Melbourne Brodie Croft to turn up. All of a sudden, you've got 3/4 of a spine that might be able to do something. But any final thoughts? All that said,
as I said, I don't expect them to improve too much. I don't think they'll finish with the spoon. I'd like to see it again, but I don't think it'll happen. I think I've got them. They've lost depth in their forward pack, and they've lost some strength out of that forward pack. So I expect them to finish at least bottom 4. I've got them finishing around 14th.
Yep, half empty Suncorp every week, I think, from
Yeah.
the round of footy they're going to be playing, and the bandwagon's not going to like it.
Yeah, no, I just think that I believe they'll push teams each week. They'll scrape some wins in, or they'll have some close losses. They'll probably remind me of what the Cronulla Sharks went through there in the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
yeah, I think much better than Wooden Spoon, but not quite good enough to be that bottom 8 clump. I think I'm saying sort of 10 through 12, somewhere in there. They'll beat up a few of the teams that are in the same basket. I think if they get all the cattle back on the field and Kevy lights them, but still not the depth there. Maybe in a year's time, there's plenty to be excited about for them. Canberra Raiders finished 5th last year. Went through to the semi-finals. Probably played their grand final against Easts in that qualifying final, and then Melbourne got them off the back of that and put the ringer through them. heading into this year, they've lost John Bateman, who's maybe the biggest loss in the comp in terms of what he actually brings to a comp. Nick Kotrick, Michael Oldfield, and Sebastian Chris, who's been released. They've picked up Callum Aitkins from Penrith, another, I guess, outside back. Ryan James from the Titans, Harry Rushton from Wigger, who's interesting, and Albert Hopewade, I think, is he still on train and trial, or has he got a contract?
Yeah, I haven't heard much since he's gone down there from except for when they first signed him to go down there.
Yeah, cool. Obviously, fantastic draw, as we talked about. Massive loss in Bateman, but they do have some... They've got a pretty good back row
Got some depth in that
to
team,
jump in there, and my concern for me really is they're missing an edge now with Kotrick going. Curtis Scott wasn't the best defensively. They're positives for me. Josh Hodgson back, obviously, one of the best hookers in the game. Now gives them 3 class hookers after Starling and had a mental blank. The other hooker last year.
Well, they've at least got 2.
2, we'll call it 2. And I think Georgie Pye will be better for the year in the NRL. I think second up, he's going to be much better. They're my quick thoughts. Trev, we'll go the other way. What do you reckon?
Mate, I think, again, I know we've just got their top 17 here, but I think another big loss to Canberra is their feeder club. Mounties no longer with them, because Mounties is one of the most professional New South Wales Cup clubs. When the players went back from Canberra there, they knew they were getting taken care of really well. And now Mounties are with the Bulldogs, and now the reserve grade's actually under by Canberra, so it just depends on their recruitment in their depth in that, on how they're going to help them.
So Raiders are going back to their own reserve grade.
That's
okay.
right.
Yeah.
And that because obviously quite a few of the players at Mounties will stay at Mounties because they like Mounties.
Good team, Mounties. Yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah,
junior team,
I'm just using that as an example because I'm still definitely now you can use the players outside the top 30. Mm-hmm. This is all going to play a big part.
Yep.
So if you got the depth there, like Mounties normally were bringing to them, it does help.
Gonna help. Yeah.
Yeah, looking at that team, it's very, very solid. There's not too many weaknesses across the board. Obviously, playing down in Canberra as well is a big advantage for them. It's a tough place to go and win, so they'll win a lot of games this year. I expect them to have a really good year again. They are going to be missing Horsburgh and Corey Harawira and Naira to start the year, but they've got so much depth there. You take them 2 out. I don't know how long the self-imposed ban from the Raiders is on them.
It's 2 games.
2 games, but I don't see too many weaknesses there. Adding someone like Ryan James, if he's going to be coming off the bench, if he gets back to full fitness, he can, on his day, he's a very good player as well. So tipping them to have a big year. And
they've got that back line, that back row. There's 5 players that could turn out to be stars between the 2 you mentioned once they're back. Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, Tarpany. This Harry Rushton coming in well. And Emre Gula.
And we haven't mentioned Papali, probably the best prop in the game.
Yeah. So just sensational. Barney.
Yeah, just to touch on Toddo's points, to be honest. I love the depth in this squad, mate. They've got cover in pretty much every position. They've even got cover in the halves with Sam Williams, who's probably one of the better, reserves for in your halves as well. So they've just got so much cover in that squad from the top to the bottom. Maybe a little bit thin on the outside edges. I wouldn't be surprised if Hopewade ends up getting Vellamay's position on the wing by the end of the season.
Even Callum Aitkins, he was good for Penrith last year.
Yeah, he's reliable. He's not a superstar, but he won't let you down.
Yeah,
you know what you're going to get from him each week.
Yep.
I got him definitely top 4.
Rapana returned in pretty good order all year,
honest.
and I think they're missing Croker for the first 3 or 4 games as well. But
yeah, he was busted pretty bad at the back end there with that shoulder. I think that's half the reason Melbourne went through him so easy. They just picked him out. They knew he was busted and just ran riot down that side.
Josh Hodgson, does he need to? He's obviously first picked. How much pressure's on him from Todd Starling? Is it a Cheese and Harry Grant situation, or is it not quite that?
I think he's under big pressure, man. I thought they looked better with Starling in the team than what they did with Hodgson at the start of the year.
Yeah.
I thought Hodgson actually started last year. He looked to me like he was getting a bit old. He looked a bit slow.
And they've just
Um,
changed their whole stroke. They changed to that running style anyway with White and then Williams.
Sometimes Hodgson can overplay his hand a little bit,
Yep.
try and do too much from dummy half. But yeah, Starling, he's quick, he's nippy out of dummy half, and his game suits the new rules.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts, boys? I think they're essentially, well, they are favourites, but I think Penrith favourites, but I think they're favourites in minor premiership. Canberra. I think they will
Good
turn
price,
up.
$10 minor premiership, $10 win the comp.
I
Probably not bad odds.
am fine with all of that as everyone refreshes their beer. Any final thoughts, boys? The Canberra Raiders.
Well, I think their window's closing. Like, there's some of them back rowers are getting a bit old now. I think they've probably only got 1 or 2 years, and this is going to be a big push for it. This is going to be a big year for them. They're going to push as hard as they can to win it this year.
And just quickly, I didn't ask you the first time around, but the first 2 teams we've been through, Todd, any Supercoach standouts here, or you haven't focused on prices just yet?
Yeah.
Or price orientated?
I got a
Ryan
couple of
James,
weeks.
cheapie, what do you reckon?
No, I
Not
just
yet?
can't trust him coming off. I think it was an ACL.
2 years out.
So, yeah, big couple of weeks of research coming up.
No? All good. Rapana returned really well last year, didn't he? I mentioned that.
He was strong, yeah.
They've got to find something there whether Scott even gets a start. He might start in the wing, actually.
I think I'm
Simmonson's
expecting a big
back as
year
well.
out of Williams. I think he'll go close to being the best halfback in the game.
Yeah,
He'll be up there.
like I said at the start, he'll be so much better for having a year, and they'll be better for having had a year with him.
I think so.
Canterbury Bulldogs, 15th last year, just scraped ahead of Brisbane in the dying rounds of the comp. This year they've lost Kieran Foran and Kieran Holland, who's gone to getting the tools up at Newcastle, I believe. Marcelo Montoya, Aidan Tolman to the Sharks, Suaso Sewell, Jack Cogger, Tim Laffey, and Isaiah Tuss, who, was picked up by Brisbane. The gains, Kotrick from Canberra, Corey Allen, Corey Waddell, Jack Hetherington, Kyle Flanagan, Matt Dury, all very good ins at this stage of the game. There's a little bit of hype and hope out of Belmore at the moment, Toddo, but is it a year too soon to be really getting hyped?
I don't think they should get their hopes up too much, but I do think they're going to be an improver this year. Obviously, new coach coming on board, a lot of quality buys. I do think some of those players are good. Trent Barrett coached a few of them, Waddell Hetherington, when he was the 20s coach at Penrith, so he knows their games. But yeah, bringing in a new halfback, a new fullback, it's a lot of changes to the spine. But I mean, they needed to after running 15th last year. So I actually, the thing last year, they tried every game. They never gave up.
For the last 2 years. And
yeah,
there's games where if they just had another 6 points in them, or 12 points, they win, and they just didn't have it at times.
They had a couple of really good wins over teams at the back end of last year, but I think they've added a lot this year. So I'm actually tipping them to be big improvers.
Barney?
I still can't. I'm still a bit worried, man, to be honest. I think Barrett's going to push them into an up-tempo attacking style game, and I think it might stretch out their middle a bit too much. I think at times their defence in the middle last year was pretty poor. They've lost Tolman, who was a bit of that glue in the middle. They've added Waddell and Hetherington, who I don't think they're not going to make 30, 40 tackles each. They're going to give you some good runs and some of that stuff. And I'm worried about the link. I'm worried about Flanagan, and it looks like it might be Avarillo at 6. But other than that, who else have you got? Wakeham or Lewis?
Wakeman, I think Lewis is down the pecking order quite.
Yeah.
So I'm just worried about they've bought a couple of nice outside backs and a couple of middle guys, but I'm not sure they're going to get enough good clean ball to get the points. I'm just worried. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I've got them finishing about the same spot, to be honest.
Trev?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy to see guys like Jack Hetherington to get offered a go over at the Bulldogs. He played really well for the Warriors when he was on loan for
He
them.
looked tremendous last year.
Mate, like the way he was playing for the Warriors, you thought he was ready to run out for New South Wales at end of year.
It's got a bit of nutbag in
That's
it.
right. That's what I like.
It was
about
my
him.
bold prediction that he'll play for New South Wales this year, or at least be in the squad.
So, mate, like Jack Hetherington, like I've always liked him. Even when he was at the Panthers, he's always had that go that I like about him. I know, and this is nothing personal, but quite a few people love the big eye on the boys, but you can't go past a good old strong white boy.
Well, what about when he gave it to Warrior Hargraves last
That's
year?
right.
He didn't take a backward
Didn't
step.
take a backward step. And mate, he will go well for him. I think that's what they need, just a little bit more mongrel. I think him when Thompson gets back from suspension, Hetherington him and Thompson in the front row
Yeah.
will be
Pretty handy.
be
won't
pretty
it?
handy.
And Napper.
And then you got Napper as well, so I think they're three good front rowers, and I think it'll be good for Napa to have someone like Hetherington, like just give him that push that he needs again.
Have a bash, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
What will we make of Barrett? There's a lot of raps. Toddo, you might be best to sort of answer this. There's a lot of raps of what he did with the Penrith halves. Like he seemed to get all the credit for what they did, but we've also seen him at Manly and what he did there. Is he somewhere in between? Is he?
When I was
Do you think he's a different person now?
Yeah, he's had that experience of going to Manly. It obviously didn't pan out, but he would have learnt a lot of lessons. I know he does work really close with the halves. When I was at Penrith first, Panthers brought him in to run their halves academy, and they had guys like Cleary and Luai come through that. And you'd see him out, no fanfare, out in the backfield, these 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Barrett was working with them at a young age. And
I imagine Burton's in that group too, with who he's going to get next year.
So they talk highly of him. All the players at Penrith said he's going to be a big loss. So, that's why I'm actually thinking that they can, don't know, top 8, but I don't think they're going to be bottom 4 this year.
And when you look at the forward pack, when you actually look at, say, a forward pack of... Napa, Thompson, Josh Jackson, Fatala Mariner, Adam Elliott, that's a good forward pack. And you throw Hetherington, 25 minutes from Hetherington, and maybe 25 minutes from Waddell, and Matt Dury was good at the back end of last year. There is hope there. I just don't know if there's enough for real top 8 hope, but I think upward spiral... I also think the upward spiral has a cap. Like, even next year, they're not suddenly going to be a top 4 team next year without O'Carr and Burton in it. And their backline. So Corey Allen's a player that made it all the way through Origin off a hot halves combination at Souths. How's he going to go having to do a lot of this work himself, potentially? Is he the sort of fullback that can change a team, or is he someone that's going to need that he's going to be a bit shown up without Reynolds and Walker playing inside him?
Yeah, as I said, mate, I'm a bit worried about them their halves to be able to create the holes and the opportunities for their outside players. So. But don't get me wrong, I think they'll match most teams in the forwards, but I don't see enough points out of them, to be honest.
We haven't touched on Flanagan. He's more kind of a controller and game manager half. So, Corey Allen as well. Maybe there are question marks over where the points will come from, but I think they'll be in a lot of games.
Anything to add, Trev?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy. I think with Flanagan, you touched on him. He has got that good man management, good game control in him. I know people are going to say, but he was at the Roosters. But if you followed I've been fortunate enough where I've been able to see come through the junior rep system, come through the old Holden Cup, Toyota Cup, whatever you want to call it, the old under-20s, and even play New South Wales Cup as well. So he has got that. Now he's just because he's still young, so he's still maturing as a first grader, so he'll go really well for him. I do see the Bulldogs improving a little bit from last year. If they make the top 8, they'll upset some teams, but I'm not going to say they're going to comfortably make it, but I reckon they will be thereabouts.
I think big year for Luke Thompson once he's back.
Yeah.
Especially if Barrett puts him back at
because
prop.
now it's his first full year out here. He's had a full pre-season out here as well.
I think they played him at lock because he's that bit small, but he's a prop, clearly. When he played his best footy when he played prop there.
Look good when they put him back in prop.
He's a ball-playing prop, which is not many of in the game. And Flanagan, he does give him he gives him a field kicker and gives him a 90% goal kicker, which they can use. It is a small halves combination. They are going to get run out a lot, and that is as one of the dogs
Almost
apparently
died.
inhales the other one. So I think we were probably all in agreement that maybe it's not quite time to get too excited at Belmore just yet. Cronulla Sharks finished 8th last year, probably a bit under sufferance by the time they got there, bundled out in straight sets at that time. They've lost Cam King, Jason Bakuya, Scott Sorensen to Penrith, Bryson Goodwin, Caleb Mills, picked up Luke Metcalf from the Seagulls, and Aidan Tolman, who will bolster their forward pack. Have at it, Barney.
Number 1 ticket holder, or is he number 2 behind ScoMo?
Number 2.
I don't go to the
shares
games,
the box.
mate. I sit at home and drink beer and watch
He's
it on
number
the
1
TV.
ticket holder in this garage.
Number 1 couch.
ScoMo can have Shark Park. Barney gets the Labrador vomit in the garage.
I think obviously they've only picked up the 2, but I think it covers what they've lost, to be honest. Bakuya was a solid player getting to the back end of his career, same with Scott Sorensen. Tolman's going to be, as I said, that glue in the middle that is. I just hope he doesn't make 5,004th tackle hit-ups like he seemed to do at the Bulldogs. Metcalf looked okay in the trial that I did watch the other day. He looks like he's got something about him. He's not a polished product yet, obviously, but he gives us a bit of depth in the halves. Sean Johnson out till round 8 is massive. They have to win at least half those games while he's not around to be even close to sniffing around the 8. I've got to miss. I had him missing. I thought they might miss the 8 last year, and they did. They tried to get. They tried to get there at one point. But yeah, I've got them in pretty much the same position, mate. I think they'll finish 9th or 10th this year. They've got some good young kids coming through. Talakai and Rudolph really impressed me last year. Royce Hunt as well, when his limited time that he did get on the field. But they look like some good upcoming back rowers. Fafita looked fresher in the Maori game. He did actually. It looked
He has
best
lost
he
weight.
did
He
in about 2 years.
He's come out and said he's lost a ton of weight and he'd look fit. Yep,
so he looked better than he has in the last couple of years. Nakora had a bit of an off year, so if he can get back to the form he showed in his first year, they're a chance at the top 8. But I think they might just miss, mate.
Yeah, go on, Toddo.
Yeah, I think it might be a tough year for the Sharks. They're a pretty old squad. Johnson, Achilles injury, notoriously one of the hardest to come back from. So who knows? Even if he's back out round 8, when is he going to start playing his best footy again? It could be another 4 or 5 weeks after that, and the season might be gone. Moylan, flip a coin if his hammies are going to go or something else. And yes, Fafita looked slim. He looked good. He looked fit, but I think his knees are pretty bad. So.
He doesn't move left to right anymore, does he?
No. And I think even Talakai is injured to start the year. Who is their best forward?
So is Royce Hunt.
Best forward last year easily was Talakai. So, yeah, hopefully Nakora can get back to his form. But a lot of that was his combination with Johnson just running through massive holes. And I think it might be a bit of a long year for the Sharks.
Trev?
Doesn't surprise me.
I'm pretty. Just going to mention Luke Metcalf. Even though he does play in the halves, he can play in the outside backs if he has to, mate. He's got speed to burn.
He was quick. Yeah, he's definitely quick.
Because if he gets through, mate, it shut the gates 9 times out of 10. I've been fortunate enough to see him when I was involved with Manly and the Blacktown connection. So, mate, he's pretty good. Mate, but with I think with the Sharks, they'll probably do what they did last season. Go under the radar and just, hello, we're in the top 8 again.
Are they still at Cogger again? Shark Park's not ready.
Yeah, another 2 years.
Still
Wow.
That's.
I suppose a pandemic doesn't help. That's a long time to be out of a home.
And they're still paying Zeri as well. So they're actually under the cap.
Yeah. But my concern, let's be honest, my concern is that they're a team that they carried 6 blokes last year that are either too old, injured, or on bad legs. Moylan, Dugan, both props. Wade Graham, we don't know how his shoulder is. He looked in a lot of trouble at games last year. They're all a year older. They haven't bought anyone. Tolman will help a bit of playing probably some good minutes through the middle. But let's be honest, how are any of those 5 going to get better? Okay, even what's Moylan now? He's only 28 actually or something.
He's
but
still fairly
they
young.
reckon he's the best he's ever run and this and that. But what's he going to do? Play fullback? Will Kentner is actually pretty good last
He'd probably end up having to go back to fullback once Johnson comes back, I would imagine. It looks like he's going to play the first however many rounds.
Well, he's named there. He's named there for Saturday at 6. So that's interesting. The more you look at, the more it's like, why not just put Wade Graham at 6 and try that way until Johnson's back? Essentially, they're giving everyone an 8-round start because Johnson was 90% of their points last year. I would like to see Billy Magoulias in and around the squad. He's playing lock this week, so maybe that helps. And then you got your Trindle and Tracy that played a bit last year. Do they fit in here? Or are they just going to be bit players again, or would you reserve grade for them for most of the year?
I think Trindle's 2 years down the track. I think he's the plan for when Chad goes or when Johnson goes. But Tracy, I think he came to us at 27 already, so he's not a young bloke either, and he's had a history of a lot of ACL injuries. So he actually did play quite well in some of the times he was on the field last year. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be I think it's going to be a pretty tough ride for good parts of the year.
There's no point sugarcoating.
But
like
there's
I
some
said,
good young back rowers coming through. I'm interested to see how they progress. They could probably build. Next couple of years, build.
Rudolph and Talakai, I loved last year.
Free up some cash.
I just think, there's no point sugarcoating it. They limped into 8th, and they're not going to do better this year. Is my humble opinion. You love rugby league, in our opinion, around here. The Gold Coast
Gotta have an opinion.
Titans came home with a wet sail last year to finish ninth. They have lost Jai Arrow to the Bunnies, Shannon Boyd, Ryan James, Tonna Mapia to Rugby Union, Bryce Cartwright, Keegan Hipgrave, Dale Copley, Nathan Peets, and Nathan Peets, Tyne Roberts both been released. They've picked up Tino Fasua Malawi. I should get used to saying that. Or Tino,
you're
as
going
I
to be
call him.
saying it for a few years.
Herman SA, David Fafita, Patrick Herbert, which is actually an interesting pickup, and Sam McIntyre, a bench forward from the Tigers. I think they've got one of the best coaches in the comp in Holbrook. Toddo, how are you looking at them?
Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise that they were one of the better teams to finish the year. So everyone is pretty optimistic about their chances next year that I've talked to, especially with the purchases they've got. You know, Tino, Fafita, they're two of the best young forwards in the game. So they're going to help that pack. I don't know if it was an oversight on your predicted
Probably whoever
17.
left out.
Brian Kelly in the centres.
Yes,
He played very well last year, and I think he's...
I think I just have a soft spot for Corey Thompson. I wasn't sure they have four. Yeah, because they've got those sort of four centres, and wasn't really sure he was going to play on the
they've
wing.
got
But
good depth, but definitely
he's
Brian Kelly.
strong and he's good, Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
He was one of the best at stages at the back end of last year.
Yeah.
He was flying.
So I'm looking forward to him this year. I mean, Holbrook, like you said, seems to be good coach. The thing last year when they won was the manner that they did it, and they all looked so happy and pumped, and they looked like a team. When they'd score tries, they'd run in from everywhere and celebrate, and that's half the battle if you've got that good team spirit and, you know,
Building culture.
mateship. Yeah, building culture. And with the additions they've got this year, I'm definitely think if they don't make top 8, I think they've underachieved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spruiked Holbrook, I think, from day one last year, and happy with that now?
Yeah, mate, I'm happy with Holbrook. He's, as I said, and I've said it before, like when Des Hasler signed on as the Bulldogs coach back in 2012, should have been Holbrook back then, coaching in the NRL at the Bulldogs. Again, he had to wait a long time. He went over to England and had success with St. Helens instantly. Might as well say he had success with them instantly. Back-to-back premierships. Like, mate, the guy's a genius. And what he's doing at the Titans, hopefully, if the Titans don't do well this year, or at least over the next 2 years, mate, are they just going to just go be like the Giants, the Seagulls,
Any other Gold Coast
the
professional
Gladiators,
sport
the Chargers, and
Yeah.
everyone else? You know
Gold
what I mean?
Coast Suns.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just I just hope for Gold Coast that they do well, because when the Gold Coast team went well under John Cartwright earlier on, mate, that stadium up there was
pumping.
it was
wasn't
pumping. It
Yeah.
was great to see.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to remember that Gold Coast, that part of Queensland, is a rugby league nursery.
Barney?
Arrow's a loss, but obviously the pickups probably outweigh that. The rest of their losses, I don't think they'd be too worried about.
No.
The rest of them going.
What, Bryce Cartwright? No?
Young ton of yeah, Nathan Peets, yeah. Brimson was probably the best fullback in the game there for the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Looking forward to watching him again. His pace to burn. Fodawaka is one that really impressed me last year and probably half of the year before. I'm expecting him to improve again, coming off the back of being included in the in and around the Maroons for Origin. My big question marks are the halves. You know, Fogarty's coming off the back of a career best year. Does he improve or does he go backwards? And I've never really rated Taylor that highly. Like, he's obviously good, man. He plays first grade rugby league. He's got me covered by a million miles. But yeah, I'm not sure whether he sets up the links that they really need. But I think there's just too much power in that pack. They're going to overpower a lot of teams. I've got him 7th or 8th at the end of the season.
As long as, like, I know at the end of the year they went on a real good winning streak, but they go out there with that carefree attitude because they knew they didn't really have much to play for except for pride.
Yep.
If they go out there with that attitude again, not worry about losing.
There's a bit of expectation there, isn't there?
That's right. Never got that expectation on them. Never going to be back of their minds, we can't afford to lose.
Now, well, the thing is, they've also, they've signed for Feeder and Tino, who are both essentially on, well, Tino was maybe not all on hype, but Fafita, I think, is largely hype. Like, when you really think about it, how many games did he win for Brisbane? He's maybe last year he made 2 or 3
probably 5 or 6 really good games.
really good games, and Tino was running off Cameron Smith running crash plays all year.
He looks like
Is
a beast, man. I think
Is
he's gonna
there
be around
overhype,
forever.
or is the hype fair for both?
Well, I think it's going to be first year with the coach last year as well, so they've got another year to learn how he wants them to play. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're overhyping
Nah.
him. I think when you look at the balance of that team, again, if you have a look, there's not too many weak points. So
And even on that bench, like someone like Sam McIntyre, man, he was good for the
was
Tigers last year. I have no idea why they let him go, to be honest. But and he's a young kid coming up. They're building a young squad. They could be a really good competitive team for the next 5 years. Man.
Fogarty found his legs, and he's captain again this year. So they're obviously backing him in. I agree with you a little bit with the 6, but Ash Taylor was good enough last year.
Yeah, he was better than he has been for a while.
AJ might.
Don't forget Peachy.
He's gun. Love
Yeah.
Peachy.
And like again, even when the Titans were going through a bit of their tough times last year, he was still trying every
He
week.
seems to be a bit of a leader in that team now.
Yeah.
He loses his head a little bit. He does put the pumpkin on occasionally, but
Quickly,
he's
Pat
a good player.
Herbert, does he start for him? Or does Brian Kelly?
Kelly,
think Kelly
100%.
does,
He's
yeah.
the first centre
If he's fit, he'll be picked.
I think you might find your mate Thompson might be out. And
No, he'll be out,
Sammy
he'll be
will
out.
be on the wing.
You can't get rid of Don, can you? He's just
No,
so
no,
reliable.
Don doesn't go. And but AJ can stamp himself, as you've said, as perhaps a premier Queensland fullback. If he really has a big year, he might be pushing Ponga to the wing. Supercoach question. So Tino at the moment's 505,000 essentially. Is he better value than, say, Jake Trbojevic, a Carrigan, a Cam Murray, and Isaiah Yeo for you? Or
I think you'll be riding the roller coaster a bit. I think you'll rely on attacking stats. Some of those other guys,
He does
they're
a
going to
bit.
pump out the base
The
stats.
defensive stats.
But if he gets more minutes, I don't see why not. He seems like he can find the try line pretty easily, and he's got an offload. And
If he's playing 50, 60 minutes, he's probably going to make money at least. And then you can size up what you do after that.
That's right.
Whether
And
you move him on or
obviously the whale in the bay is if they have a certain 450 game player come in to play 9, he's going to be scoring some points. Tino's going to be getting some ball under the post. So
well, Mitch Rain should keep the starting spot, and Smith can ease
clearly.
in off the bench.
yeah, go and play halfback. Very good. We might have a quick break and come back with the rest of the teams. Just quickly, Trev, Super League kicks off very shortly, doesn't it? Have you had a look at any of that, or you haven't had a chance to delve deep? You'll save that for another day.
Well, mate, we'll probably say for another day, thanks to certain media and social media couldn't agree on certain things here in our country. So I didn't really get much of my information.
No, fair enough.
So, yeah.
That's okay.
oh, you had your news sites blocked.
Yeah, that's right. Our news site was blocked. Mate, like,
Well, quick one. They haven't really popped up yet. The Canberra bloke. What do you make? Who's he? Can you tell us a bit about him?
The young
Rushton?
fella,
Yeah,
Harry Rushton.
Harry Rushton.
Another
Wigan.
pommy
From
at
Wigan.
Canberra.
Yeah, there's another one at Canberra.
yeah, he's all right, mate.
And I think there's another one that's got a spruik at Newcastle. We'll get to him.
Yeah, they
Dan
got
Young.
two.
Dan Young?
They actually got two up there, mate. Dominic,
is it?
mate.
He's a 2 metre centre.
Mate, he's a gun. Like I watched him play when I was actually over in Huddersfield.
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
that's where he played, and he played
Yep.
academy there at Huddersfield. And so, yeah, no, he's awesome.
All right, let's get to Manly. I was going to ask you another question. I got ahead of myself. That's right. Let's get to Manly. They've lost Joel Thompson overseas, Corey Waddell, Fanua Blake to the Warriors, Jade Anderson, Albert Hopewade, Metcalf, and then Elliot Levi. Williams all released. Any of them got employment on the horizon? Or
Tony Williams, I believe, he's going to be playing for Windsor Wolves in the Ron Massey Cup.
yeah, right.
Brendan Elliott's meant to be going over to the Super League. Denny Levi is playing for North Devils up in the
Is he a Queensland?
Cup.
We just moved up there.
Nah, he's from New Zealand, via Penrith, Glenmore Park.
We
actually.
saw a fair bit of him actually, Daniel Levi.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've picked up Andrew Davey, Kieran Foran, Christian Tuipalutu, Jason Saab, and Josh Aleoe.
I like Jason Saab.
I like Josh Alloway, or I did.
Yeah, the Lords look good at Brookie and the Grash.
Yeah, so it's all
Alloway
going to
there.
be much better than Chedtown's reserve, apparently. So that will be kept in order. Issues already with Tommy Turbo looking like he won't be here to round 5. Toddo, have a crack at this one first.
Well, where's Harry, the bloke who beat Turbo? Can he get a start?
We've signed him on a development.
I think he's playing for,
I think it was.
I love the commentary.
Yeah.
Harry's faster than Turbo.
Harry. Yeah, mate. I
Isn't
think
that where he did his hammy?
No, in the bathroom apparently.
in the bathroom, apparently.
Mm.
Yes.
But I think Harry's playing for Monavale.
But I don't mind it. He's a good bloke by the sounds of it, Turbo. Just
Yeah,
having
yeah.
Oh, mate, if that had come out 10 years ago, everybody would be cheering him,
Yeah.
calling him a hero. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's
who
hard
does
not to
that
like
with
him.
Old mate running down the
Yeah.
street.
Like,
But
I know quite a few people say, stop giving him a hard time about it. But at the end of the day, if I was James
he's a
Ramey,
professional,
if I was James Ramey, the physio over at Manly, I'd be pulling my hair out what I've got left. No, because, you invest in so much time into him to get better for him just to go out and do that.
Yeah, it couldn't have helped the night before doing
no.
that.
That's
They-
right.
you wouldn't think so.
They must have softened it up. But I don't think they've got a lot of depth, Manly. I think they are a team, if they get a few injuries, they're in big trouble. The hooker position is still up in the air. I know you've got four in there. But I
Foreign's
think
been
it's-
training Nezamel, and they've lost. Croker's gone today.
Croker's gone. And
Kate Cuss would be the other option, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Kate Cuss,
Yeah.
I believe, will probably end up playing
They
9.
let Levi
And obviously
go.
Fanu's
Fanu's still got
probably
legal
not going to be
stuff
seen
happening.
again for a while.
I just don't see Foreign throwing him in the dummy half with his body.
Defensively,
yeah,
I'm the
it's
same.
not
Yeah,
worth
I
agree.
just think he should come back and play with Cherry Evans in the halves, and they might just
Bring
have to
Schuster to lock
and Cust in the dummy half. But
and Turbo up. I know people don't want to say, but push
row.
Turbo up into the front row because that's what he seems to do these days anyway.
yeah,
Jake Turbo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say Tommy one. I
not
like it.
Tony.
Or tries to play 5'8".
Yeah, or tries to play 5'8". That's right.
Yeah, I'd hate to see if a few more injuries occur, what their depth looks like.
Well, even so, even if there's 17 I've got, so Tommy's out to round 5. Tafua is not recovered yet. They've, as I said, lost Croker already.
A lot of Manly fans have been calling for Tafua's head as well.
Yeah, they
Last
went off the
year
ball.
wasn't great.
He's a highlight reel with a big hit every now and again.
So I guess Saab starts on the wing with Garrick.
Yeah, Jason Saab, he's awesome.
Big tall boy, runs quick.
Man, he can jump as well.
Could be a good
And,
addition.
and plenty of speed to burn, and he's put on some size, like good size, not bad size.
When you're starting back row is Siren and Davey, that tells you all you need to know about the depth behind it, realistically.
Although I think Paseka is actually a really good
He
player.
looks like
he could step
Tanoa
up this year,
Paseka,
but in saying that, they've got Alawai and Tapau as well, who might start ahead of him. But I think if he can get some more minutes, he'll
He
prove
needs
a
some more
handful.
minutes.
They're just a tradesman forward pack, aren't they? Like they're just like Alloway's going to make 45 tackles. He's not going to really hurt anyone. Tapau will hurt some people and make 25 tackles. Paseka's a good player. Jake Turbo's going to play 5'8", fullback, and make
Huss
40
doesn't
tackles.
get enough of an opportunity in that
No.
team for mine. I think he should be starting or at least getting 50, 60 minutes a game, and they throw him on for 20 minutes at the back end of games. I don't understand that.
Is there any hope from this team at all? Anyone got any positive to say?
Mate, it's a Des coach team. Like, you just got to expect them just to turn up and with guts and glory.
Yeah, that's it.
They're going to rely on that.
And the thing is, their guts and glory. It's like that. What was the game where they beat Canberra and just all guts, and then they just busted for the next 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Like it was one of the best wins you ever see in an NRL club game, because I was watching with Dino, and then it was like I was watching going, they're going to win this, and they're going to regret this game because that was when I think that was the game Turbo went down. Brendan Elliott went to fullback, and they were just incredible.
Well,
And then they
DCE is
linked for
gonna
the
get
rest
him
of
around the field.
So here's the thing, because if they were full strength, I would have bought DCE for Supercoach, and now without Tommy, they're like, I don't want to touch him.
No, he actually goes better without Turbo.
You reckon?
There. He does.
Oh,
because
point-wise, probably. Yeah, I just
points-wise,
had the
Turbo
thought.
gets involved in the attack without
Well,
him.
I wanted both. I was going to have Turbo at $500,000. Turbo was a bargain, I thought.
You want
Yeah,
to
you
know
can't
who
touch
I
him.
reckon will go well this year? Because he's had a proper full year in first grade, and like you'll know the name when I mention it, Sean Kepi.
You love Sean. You have a man crush on
He
Sean
does
Kemp. I
have a
knew I
crush
should have
on
said it.
Kepi.
I should have
Mate,
guessed.
the Kemp
Yes.
star, mate. Come
He's
on.
a good though.
He's a good.
hard not
he's
to
good,
like.
mate. Sean
Schuster
Kepi.
looked decent, light on his feet. He looked like there's something there.
Yep.
Be interesting to see how he goes through the season. But yeah, I don't hold high hopes for Manly. I've got them probably finishing just in front of the Sharks.
Well,
wherever they both finish.
So is that 14th?
No, I've got him in around 10th.
Ben Turbo, there's a lot of hype. I think he's probably pretty close now to end up.
Looks like
Making
he's
his
going to have to
debut.
come through.
Benny,
What is he, back row?
yeah, Benny can play like in
Centre,
the
back
back,
row.
fullback, centre, back row. He's just still growing into his body. Still a big.
He's a big gangly bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Arms and
The
legs.
only way I can compare Ben to the other two is that he's the height of Ben,
Of Tommy,
of Tommy,
and the build.
and he's got the strength of Jake.
Yeah, they reckon he's the strongest of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Dylan Walker need a big year to get a job next year?
He might not even have it.
Well-
What's going on with the charges that he had?
He's still got
trying to
the
drag
drop kick
someone out of
charges or
a-
something. Yeah.
Trying to drag someone out of a car or
No-
something?
no
Punching
comment.
people?
Yeah, he'll probably answer that himself with what he gets up to off the field.
Alloway in that team's going to have to do a lot of work, and is a very good prop option for Supercoach, I think.
Yeah, I think, decent buy in Supercoach.
Well, let's have a look now. I think I bought him. I turned around and
I-
having him back into the fold.
Always beware Des, though. He's not a good coach for Supercoach with how he plays them.
That's
Yeah.
He likes to muck around.
$4.95
with his team,
prop.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be
Okay.
going.
Yeah, 500
That is true.
probably a bit
I
high.
think there was a game last year where we turned up in three players weren't even playing that I bought into.
Don't worry, mate. I remember seeing quite a bit of that when I was involved at Blacktown.
Yeah, just have blokes turn up at training.
Have
and
blokes
all
turn
the
up training, turn up game day, and they're, sorry, mate, we're not playing. We need them to sit on the bench for first grade. What do you mean? Like, you got 22 players. And it's like, yeah, no, we need them still.
rest.
Yeah, their defence has probably been tightened a little bit with Davey and with Davey coming
Davey had a good back end of last
in
year.
and Alloy coming in, but
Yep.
they've lost a lot of their ball running, man. Like Fanua Blake and they're running on those edges.
Yeah. I think we were all
Thompson,
on the same
Waddell.
page. And no
the big
Turbo
blokes
first
hitting
month.
the
They're
holes.
another team starting a month behind. And just looking at my thing here, I had them 11th, and I am going to probably drop them 3 spots, to be honest. I think they're in that bottom 4. The Melbourne Storm, last year's premiers, they finished second on in the season proper. They were obviously outstanding all year. They do have some big outs. So Vunivalu's gone to rugby union to start on the bench. Tino's gone to the Titans. Momorowski's loan deal's over. Albert Vite's gone overseas. Ricky Latelli. Cameron Smith and Sandor L both are gone. Their pickups, George Jennings, Remus Smith and Harry Grant's back from the Tigers. Still a good team. Still a great team. Big loss. You can't quantify how big a loss Cameron Smith is. I know they've got essentially probably the next Australian hooker and New Zealand hooker in their team. But what Cameron Smith brings to any team is probably very important. Well, it is very important. So it's up to, I guess, Munster and Hughes to lead him around the field. They did have a 6-week period where I suppose they didn't have him last year. Tremendous forward pack for me. Bromwich, Safa Soliola, Kafusi, Bromwich, Finucane, and the cheese on the bench is outstanding. Eisenhuth, Christian Welsh on the bench, like
They've probably got the best bench in the comp.
that's the
Really.
best bench in the
Close to
argument
it.
for the
You've
best
got-
forward pack
you've
in the
got
comp.
Nico Hines there too, which isn't on your list, who could end up filling a utility role on a bench somewhere.
Yeah. So outstanding forward pack, outstanding depth. They're just going to have to do it without their icon. Barney, how are they just going to be the usual plug and play
Oh,
Melbourne?
they're going to be they're going to be professional. They always are. They have been ever since they bloody started, way back. When they entered
Yep.
the comp. They've got a great forward pack. It's pushing being the best forward pack in the comp, and they've got more than a solid spine. Jerome Hughes actually surprised me the way he came into his own at the back end of last year, playing the halfback. Munster, we all saw what Munster does. When he's on, he's just on. And good luck's trying to stop the bloke.
Yep.
Like, Pappenhausen's going to be kicking goals this year too, so he's probably going to end up top point scorer by the end of the year.
You'll
by-
probably do a hammy
from
4
kicking
rounds in from kicking goals.
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
And Addo Carr's essentially become a second fullback for him because he was out. His support play was as good as anybody
It was, yeah, he
in the
did
comp
some
last
really
year.
Good stuff
He was
last year.
I thought it was his best year, Addo Carr last
Harry
year.
Grant obviously already started to rubber stamp himself, but this year, it's the year for him to make his name. It's just Melbourne, man. It's crazy. I think you can get 250 for him to make the top 4.
Oh, that's a.
Jump on.
If I had the money to have a $2.50 bet for 12 months, I'd do it. But I'd rather just watch Mars win at Canterbury when I've tipped it for 3 weeks on the show. But anyway,
Put money on it.
With this Melbourne team, like, you can't fold them. Like, they got Origin players, they got internationals. Like, they're going to be up there in the top 4 for sure.
Yep, the best coach in the game, hands down, Bellamy. Every year they start the year just so professionally. They're always winning their first, 6, 7, 8 games. They just get such a head start on the rest of the comp every year.
When they slow down, it's like we were talking last year, like Trent Robinson at the Roosters. They planned it out. Okay, guys, we've got to win X, Y, Z. Obviously, this year Origin will go back to the normal Origin period, pending everything stays the way it is. So, and same thing happens down at Melbourne, and that. Hey, guys, we've got to go win X, Y, Z amount of games before Origin, so we can afford, if we have to, because they're expecting players to go play
They
Origin.
programmed the whole season, man. They'd all.
That's right.
Both
They
of those
program
two
it. They
coaches
program it
have
around
their
that
team,
period.
their whole
That's
season
right.
programmed already.
Yeah,
They
well,
do
just
it in like
a
4
quick
or 5
tick
week
through.
blocks.
That's right.
You're probably looking at 8 Origin players in this team, and then some obviously the Kiwis in there. But yeah, Pappenhausen, Lee, Brenko Lee,
played Origin.
late
last year.
Origin.
Yeah, he did.
Munster,
I was happy for him.
Harry Grant, Bromwich, Finucane, Christian Walsh. So
Mate, I'll tell you right now, if I was allowed to bet on games last year, I would have won a lot of money. Well, because I said to everyone, Brenko Lee will play Origin. And everyone laughed at me. They go,
Yeah.
no, he hasn't done
You
anything.
did say that, yes.
They go, oh, you didn't do anything at Canberra, you didn't do anything at the Titans. I go, trust me, he'll come into his element.
Well, they've got another one going down there, Remy Smith, mate. He
Yeah,
looks
that's
like
right,
a decent
Remy Smith,
footballer.
that's right.
Let's see. Wonder what Melbourne will end up doing with that bloke.
and then you've got the other centre. Just Nolan became Mr. Ironman
Yeah,
by the end of last year. He was outstanding.
he was killing
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
Belting them and then running over him, and imagine lining up against him. Just
And the thing is that they've got, like I
Yeah.
said, they've got the
Losing
worst
him.
draw. They actually play most of the top 8, last year's top 8 twice.
But it makes them battle hard.
It does make better.
doesn't matter to Melbourne anyway. So,
Remember
so you
last-
couldn't give a shit.
When you're the
who
best,
they're
you're the
playing.
best, I suppose. Is there anything to add? They're going to finish top 3, I think. And
Remember
Oh,
last
yeah,
year
top 4.
too, they had
Sure.
it pretty tough with the bubble and the quarantine, and they handled it.
went to spent the time up in Sunshine Coast.
Kamika
They
Mika,
are
wanna
playing,
see him
and they get
50
home
minutes.
again. They're home again now, aren't they?
Well, they are.
But they're
during
based
COVID,
at.
But,
Are they at Central Coast at the moment, or are they?
I don't
someone
think
else.
they moved
No,
them
they're
out of
still
Melbourne.
in Melbourne. at
Still
the
Melbourne.
moment.
But
They're,
if they have to, they can handle it. They
got
proved it last year.
50% capacity, I think, was released today. Melbourne crowds are going to
Yes.
have 50%
Yeah,
capacity.
the MCG can have 50,000 people.
If they do move them, the NRL's talking about moving them to New South Wales this time, not Queensland. So it
Yeah.
probably would be the Central Coast. But by the looks of things, man, like there's been bugger all in New South Wales, and Melbourne looks like it's starting to calm down. So
Look,
fingers crossed.
we've all wet ourselves over this team. Is there any negatives here?
Not that I can see.
The only negative,
Not a lot.
the only negative I'm going to talk about, and this is a Craig Bellamy special, and I know for a fact he wasn't happy with how many points they were leaking at the end of the games.
But that's more. That's
It's because he coaches defence.
I saw that, and that's
But-
I think
Yeah.
in itself a positive because
That's
he's
a
gone. He's
positive
not.
'cause
We're
he's
not
gonna
letting him.
smash 'em.
He did because they were conceding 20 points, and
Yeah,
we
that's
sort
right.
of said that was a negative when we did our.
I actually
Finals
listened
preview.
to an interview with him not long ago. Actually, it was on Brett Finch, and he mentioned that point, but then he also said the good thing about it was we were actually using our energy in attack at the right times.
At the right
You
times,
know,
yeah.
we let in a few more points, but we were using that energy we weren't using in defence in attack. So
Yeah.
it sort of evened itself out. So
Yeah, like at the moment, like I'm working with Jason Amos, who a coach down at the Storm, and like one thing Jace was telling us, one thing that Bellyache's pretty big on is a thing they call the red zone or the cage, which is no points to be scored in up the middle. Well, if they're going to score, they got to score out on the
that's
edges.
like the two markers,
Yeah.
on 20 metres out and
That's
the
right,
two
yeah.
the two 20-metre ins.
That's
or
right,
whatever it
yeah.
is, yeah.
And they go, so he's pretty big on that. Like, if teams are going to score against them, they got to score out wide. They're not going through the red zone or cage.
Yeah, right. Obviously, suspension and injuries, everything to every team as well during the season. If they cop a whole bunch of injuries, who knows? But yeah, I don't expect him to miss the top 4.
And Toddo, would you be interested in touching either Harry Grant 633,000 or Brandon Smith 489,000 Super Coach? Given they're splitting the duties, Brandon is a dual position.
No, there's a lot of good options at hooker, and I just couldn't spend that kind of money not knowing what the breakdown in minutes is going to be.
Yeah, if he's playing 80, you'd think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'd
Or
know
if our
after
goal kickers.
Yeah.
you'd know quick enough into the season whether he's someone you get in your radar by round 6 or 7.
Yep.
The Newcastle Knights. 7th last year, again under sufferance. They were bailed out in straight sets. They've lost Aiden Guerra, Tim Glasby, both retired. Herman Esiese, who's probably an underrated pickup for the Titans, actually.
He's a good pickup. Yeah, he's a
McCulloch's gone
solid forward.
to the Dragons. Matty Utai, Mason Lino, Tadamoga, Tyron Roberts, Davis. Picked up Bailey Hodgson from UK, the nephew of Josh. Any intel there, Trev?
No, to be honest, I don't really know too much about him.
Another fullback, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, like I don't really know too much about him. All I can really say is they got him over. He has got some potential. How much he will go, I'm not quite sure. But player,
Dominic.
And Dominic Young's the other one. That,
yeah,
you were talking
Dom
about.
is the one that like I'm really impressed with. You know, from Huddersfield, mate. Like his trademarks, his dreadlocks. He plays with his dreadlocks, mate. Like
Yeah.
I remember first watching him play in 2019 in the academy at Huddersfield when I was over there, and I said, "I really like him. He's raw. He's big. Obviously, he still had lot of work to do, but now he's got that chance to improve. And if he gets his shot over here to play first grade, I wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't disappoint.
Where's he play?
He can play in the back row or centres, but he's
Okay.
normally a centre.
Centre.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
2-metre centre.
Quick, tall.
I wouldn't say he's quick, but
Not quick enough.
he's got good strength and he's
I
big.
saw some highlights. Think of a 19-year-old Idris.
Yeah,
Maybe a bit taller.
Yeah.
Probably
power,
is a good
power centre. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
is a good comparison. Now so they've just renewed Aidan O'Brien for 2 more years.
O'Brien, yep.
Is that
Adam O'Brien?
Adam O'Brien? Sorry,
That's
Aidan
all right.
O'Brien, the Coolmore trainer, probably would be
He's not training
probably would be
football
less. It probably would get him going actually. Can I have one of those beers, Bunny? Thank you.
Doug, you can finish that one first, mate.
Yeah, of course I can.
players. Yeah. Good on you, Toddo.
He's a Bellamy protege. It seems to me the impression I get is he has taken some aspects from Craig Bellamy without the
Fiery
best
nature.
accent, without like the cuddle and the kiss and the hey come over for a game of FIFA.
I don't rate
aspects.
him. I don't
Yeah.
rate him at all. And
Okay.
yeah, I just think that's a big call to make after it wasn't a great year last
Well,
year.
I actually thought this is.
I was
I think he has a point proof this year, and I was really surprised.
That
I'll let you finish, but
defensive-
I was surprised. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And you hear about that rumoured running at the races. He's
Yeah,
a pretty fiery character.
my
I know
favorite
for a
favorite
fact-
line in
I
the
know
world.
for- I know
Don't
for
you
a
know who I
fact-
am? I use it all the time.
I know for a fact, right? I know this for a fact that he was well behaved at those races.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear.
He
Cool.
was well behaved at those races.
Yep.
I know a few people that were actually there and in the know, and I trust these people like with my life. And they said if he was in any issues or any problems, that like how can someone just flick like that?
Apparently
Yeah.
it was all rubbish.
They'll whine
yeah.
and
Apparently
get
the
wound
same
up all
security
day.
guard said the same thing about Kalen Ponga 6 months earlier or something as well.
Yeah.
So
So
And Newcastle is Newcastle for anyone that's been to
but
Newcastle.
no, man, like he was really well behaved on those.
But
on
On
but
to
to
the
finish your
Knights.
point,
Yeah, I'm actually tipping him to miss the 8 this year. I think there's been drama before the season starts, and as much as you think it doesn't carry into the season, every time there's drama at a club, it seems to translate on the field. I don't think it's a happy team. There's rumours of players not getting on with each other.
where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yep. I think Ponga's injured. Ponga's got a bit to prove. I think he's almost a little bit overrated, to be honest. And I don't think they have great depth either. Look at their team. They've got guys like Connor Watson starting at lock. I don't think that's his best position.
Barney just looked at me because you bashed my boyfriend. Keep going. Sorry.
They got Jaden Brayley at 9, not the most creative dummy half. He's pretty working class.
Now you bashed Barney's boyfriend. Look out.
And yeah, the guys like Toa and Tuala, Shibashaki.
Yeah, just players.
Yeah, they're just kind of run-of-the-mill players. So I'm actually thinking they're going to be missing the 8 this year. Barney, what do you think?
Yeah, right. Okay. No, I'm with you with the outside backs. There's a few outside backs there that are sort of, I think, are a bit
We have, sorry, there's 3 of us at the table have boyfriends in this team. Number 14 is Trev's boyfriend, so look out.
Yeah, Ponga.
Tex Hoy.
Ponga does have. He's got everything that he needs, but he needs to start doing. He needs to start pushing a bit more. He's always sort of floating around the back, waiting to set up for that the big sweep play and all that kind of stuff. He needs to. I think he needs to start working on the Tedesco, the Minicello role of pushing
Dummy
up
half as well.
in the middle and just following that ball all
Yep.
the time, just constantly being in and around the football. Because I think a lot of the time you see him standing behind the dummy half or waiting out on the wing or out in the centres somewhere. I think Jaden Brayley's actually quite a big plus for this team, just in the way that in his defence, he's one of the better defensive hookers going around. As Toddo said, he's not the most creative hooker in the world. His running game's not brilliant, but I think he'll get you in and around and get you where you need to go. The forward pack's solid enough. Clemmer, Barnett, Frizzell. But yeah, they could be lacking a little bit of depth. I've got them sniffing in and around the 8th. I think they'll finish 7th, but I don't think they'll be contenders at the back end of the season.
I think your analysis is spot on. And also, I have put Kurt Mann at 6 here, but Blake Green will come back, I think, halfway through the year. But what does that mean?
It's not
Who
very
knows?
inspiring having Green come back.
Yeah, that's it. So
Looked
we've
okay
got
for a couple of games.
One thing I'd
Till he
like to
got
see
hurt
this
again.
year for the Knights is I'd love for them to get early ball out to Bradman Best.
Yeah.
Now, if
He's-
they-
so you
they-
can sing it.
he's
Bradman Best is the best.
Is
Fuck
this
off.
your boyfriend, is he?
Oh, no,
He's
he's
got two.
Tex is his boyfriend.
Nah, Tex is the boyfriend, mate. Bradman Best is.
Tex starts 1, probably, doesn't he? Round
He
1.
does love Best as well. Yeah, looks like it. You're going to start at fullback.
Yeah, no.
Ponga out.
How would Bradman Best go at fullback?
Nah, he's too big.
He's too big and
Too
too
big,
big,
yeah.
slow.
yeah.
Not light enough on his feet.
Like he has to be in the centres.
Just thinking if
Best
you
will
know
end up being a second rower by the time.
he will be. He will be.
He's a man child. He's been like
He is a man child.
He's been like that since he was like junior reps, mate.
He is a man child.
Hey guys, just can I like just say something?
Of course,
Yeah,
can.
go
Like,
for it.
because we
That's
are
why
talking-
you have
I know-
microphones.
I know we're talking about Newcastle here, but I heard a rumour Aquila Uarte is going to play in the pub league up there for Belmont.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
He'll be a fan
Good.
favourite.
Hey, and also in that team is Cade Snowden.
I wonder how far that's. I wonder if they play out. How far that extends.
It's in the pub league. So
Actually,
Yeah, no, they
I
play-
used to love
'cause
Cade
they play-
Snowden when he was a Shark. He was fucking.
I wonder how far they go out. No, they would. They probably wouldn't go out to Denman. They wouldn't go that far.
No.
But there is a hot pub comp. I know the Denman pubs have a hot one, but it wouldn't go that far. I'll go out and watch that. That'll be fun.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know how true it is, but I heard
Yeah,
it
why
on-
not?
I heard it on
He's
my
probably
whispers.
50, isn't he? No, he's probably my age. All right, so I'd like to watch it. Yeah, the quick summation. I agree with you. There's backline weaknesses.
Jack Johns be interesting.
Jack
See
Johns,
How he goes. If he
yeah.
gets a start.
Okay, the quick notes for me. Yeah, Ponga needs to I think AJ Brimson's more than breathing down his neck. I think
Yep.
AJ Brimson, by then he'll have his neck in front, his head in front to be the Queensland fullback. So Ponga's got to show what he shows. He is a little bit of that one-trick pony, which they do the one trick very well.
What, not the cutout, the goose step, and
The cutout
Sweep
goose
to
step,
the
sweep
left.
to the left,
Just
and there it
play
is.
football.
Surely
Yeah.
coaches have to cotton on and know that that's his pet play.
Well, they
don't
did. They started jamming him. That's why they
Yeah.
couldn't score tries
Yeah.
for about 4 weeks there at one point.
right.
I like Connor Watson to 13 in this rapid game. If they play the right way, he will be very good, being essentially a second or third half.
I think that
He'll be doing a bit of work, but at 230k, I'm keen to buy him for Supercoach anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Must.
I think you're going to see quite a few teams actually start playing with that third half, whether they
Yeah,
come
we'll
in
get to
off
that
the
in
bench
South,
or
yeah.
at the lock. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, especially with all the quicker game, they're definitely to play. Big year for Mitchell Pearce because his extension has been denied, and he might be.
He's caused a few problems.
He
I heard they were looking at cutting his contract by a year short.
they've cut the
It'll
extension,
happen.
so
It'll
it's a
happen.
club option extension, I believe, and they've almost already told him no. Kurt Mann's just such a tryer. I love how he plays footy. He carried them for some of those games. I think they missed the 8. Tyson Frizzell's a big in, but he'll just be what Tyson Frizzell was to the Dragons last year. He'll be someone that
Good player in a bad team.
carries them in
You'll
bad
have
team.
a
That
little
said,
bit more around
all of a
him
sudden
as-
they have Cy Feedy, Clemmer, who were outstanding last year,
Yeah.
and Mitch Barnett was absolutely tremendous.
And you got Fitzgibbon as well.
And Fitzgibbon when he comes
He'll come
back, and Frizzell,
Fitzgibbon
all
is
of a
top player
sudden,
plays.
yeah, I'd lock
Your
you, but he
pop
was good in
player.
attack.
You love a pop.
He was good in attack, but he was the early
He was
favourite
the
for Pop
original
Plant.
Pop
He was the
Plant.
first Pop
He
Plant.
was the
Original
first
Pop
pop
But
player.
Mitch Barnett's one of my favourite plays.
Yeah, he's good,
Angry
Mitch.
Man.
And just for Toddo's and just for Toddo's reference, we give out a pot plan every week.
Pop Plant of the week.
You know, so
Right.
basically, if you put a pot plan on the field, he'd
Who-
play as good as that
the
bloke.
top plan.
And it will return this year.
Nice, nice.
I'm sure he's very nice.
It's pretty good, host.
All right, we'll get SAM. We'll get all the plugs in now. Halfway through, we're going to plug PCTC. Look up PCTC Tipping Comps on Facebook if you want to join our cash tipping comp. $50 buy-in. They have NRL and AFL options. Prize pool at the moment sitting about $1,000, so it's usually about $600 to the winner, and then whatever from there. Jump on there and do that. Our super coach is full, so you can follow along with us. Toddo took the final position, but that's ready to rock and roll. Hot comp there. Barney is the reigning linear champion. So what we do each and every week is Barney puts a title on the line. So head to head, he defends a title every week, and then we have an overall champion who last year was Cameron, who didn't come
hasn't
back.
returned.
Probably just a random that beat us all. So there it is.
Who's top undercover?
So we'll have plenty of hype around that all year. Push the tipping. The PCTC runs off the ESPN tipping app, which looks really good. Pretty happy to be involved with them. So that's exciting. And then Supercoach will keep everyone a bridge of as we go through. And looking forward to a big season ahead. Let's get now over the ditch to New Zealand, who after their great year last year in what they did in terms of what they did for the game, returned to New Zealand. Nathan Brown in charge, Phil Gould involved, and after finishing 10th, they had Todd Payton instill quite a bit of discipline into them, and looked pretty good for the back end of last year. Now they have Nathan Brown, and here's a quick talking point, boys. So I was thinking about this the other day. So why is it, and I sort of know why it is, because unfortunately NRL teams are all run by corporate numpties that actually don't know much beyond sitting around a board table and arguing. Why is it they always tend to return to the past? So Hook's back at St George, we'll get to. Nathan Brown's back there. It's like they never want to back anyone. And I suppose they're scared to put their own necks in the line, but are Nathan Brown and Anthony Griffin really the answers going forward to either of these teams?
For St George, well, I believe they're good for both, actually. Brownie's really good in that development way, like of putting things in place, getting the team gone in a good direction, and he doesn't mind making the big decisions. And when they lose, he's not going to take it personal, where he does get in there and he will take responsibility. Like, for example, he's told a few of his players that they weren't allowed to play in the All-Stars, and now, why not?
Yeah, the
He goes,
whole
hey,
lot.
it's my job on the line.
Told a whole lot of them.
And that you get hurt, it's my job on the line, isn't
Yeah.
it? If I can't have you. So, mate, he makes a big cause, and he's not there to make friends. He's there to coach, which I think is a good thing. Hook, mate, I reckon he'll go good with St George. Another coach as well who goes, never, it's my way or the highway attitude. And that's basically what it is. They're just good, strong, disciplined coaches.
Fair enough. Okay. Trevor's made the positive. Anything else, or I'll just keep my mouth shut?
I'm a bit with you. I can't see either of them making a massive difference to these teams. I think if they could have, they would have kept Payton.
I think they wanted Payne, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, I don't think.
But he didn't want to stay.
No, I think he had his other, and understandably so. But if
And
they could have,
Hook's
they would.
pushing the shit uphill. To be honest, that's what he's
We're
got.
getting.
is
We'll get
Yeah,
there.
we'll wait till we
But,
talk
yeah.
about the
Wait till we
Dragons.
get St. George.
Yes, there's I've got a spoon in the closet for them. But the appointment of Phil Gould. So it looks like he's already pulled about good things, because there's going to be a broadcast under-20s comp in New Zealand. I think he
Which has already
tweeted
started.
yesterday.
Brilliant.
They're showing the Sky Sports, but they've got their own under-20s comp.
Yeah, good.
Cool.
Real good.
what that means in the COVID era, I'm not sure in terms of back and forth and everything else.
Well, it's only
I don't think
well,
you might know better than anyone. Is Gus a positive or a negative, Toddo, or you'd prefer to?
Yeah, no, I might come across biased, but definitely positive. Someone with that amount of knowledge. Gus is good at setting up the pathways. He's big about the development and setting the club up right for sustained success. So
Actually, we'll save the Penrith pathways till we get to Penrith, but keep going.
Well, that under-20s, that's something that in 5 years from now they're going to see the fruits
that's
from
right.
that.
Gus copped it for his 5-year plan at Penrith, but look,
isn't the proof? We'll talk about that. Isn't the proof in the pudding?
It is. Right now, Penrith have set up for the next 5 years with this team that they've built.
Yep.
And it took a bit longer, but he's going to go over and try and do the same thing. And there's so much untapped talent in New Zealand. The Warriors have never had someone to come in with that experience
And if you
and
start
set
the
it up.
first-class competition between their states and whatever, that can only benefit the juniors coming through there.
And look what Gus went and found. He went and identified the Central West needs to be targeted.
Yep.
They need to have an academy here to do so.
Yep.
And look at where all their players are from.
Yeah, you got Isaiah Yeo from out at Dubbo way. Matt Burton's Dubbo too.
Maiden.
Naden from Wellington.
Charlie Staines.
Forbes,
That's right.
One of the best training facilities going around.
It doesn't happen overnight.
State-of-the-art.
You just have to be willing to commit to the long haul, and it can't be a negative for the Warriors. He's gonna be good.
He's a very intelligent man, and I think that's a positive, and hopefully that's enough of a positive to help Brownie out. Nathan Brown, then, boys. Yes, no. Wait and see. Well, you two. Trev's had to say.
I think he did quite well with Newcastle. I thought he got a bit of a rough end of the deal, to be honest.
Well, he put that in place,
Just as the fruits were starting to bear fruit, he got moved on. Obviously, the results weren't there while he was coaching, but as soon as he was gone,
Everything he done.
and it was all off the back of what he set up. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty decent move, to be honest.
Just remember, it was Gus who said he's the man to have.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I don't know. Just want to see the Walker brothers have a shitty NRL team. Let's get
They
to.
might get the Brisbane Bombers or whatever they're going to call themselves.
Oh no, it'll be Cameron Smith's either absolute odds-on favourite to coach them, or Bellamy will be involved, or Bennett. They'll want a marquee name. As we just watched Nash kick away at top of straight and give us all hope in the PCTC. There it is.
We've got to turn the racing off when we're trying to do this.
No, it's now he's going to get run down. Early crow again's cost me.
Got him.
Shh. He's going to run out of place. All right. So, losses. Adam Blair's retired. Jared Beale's retired. Lachlan Burr's gone to the Cowboys. Papali's gone to the Eels and looked quite good last week. Tane Milne, Patrick Herbert, Nathan Roach, Parsi, Kieran, Pulu, and Vinny Yawaya. They've brought in Ben Masala back from Warrington. How was his UK career?
Mate, his game went to another level over there. I know everyone will say, oh, it's a Super League and that, but the thing is, everyone needs to understand that the English game, they make the best forwards.
It's based on the forward game, yeah.
The toughness.
Yeah.
And so he's going to come back a better player. Now, and we've seen it in previous years,
He wasn't going that bad when he went over there, to be honest.
No, that's right. But he's gone over there, as we just said.
He was pretty good for us. He was really good for us. Yeah.
No, but, mate, over there, he done well.
Yep.
They done well at Salford, done well at Warrington. He's going to come back. He's better for it. He's stronger for it. He looks fitter in it as well.
Yeah.
And got to understand, I remember when Sam Moa, when he first started his career here, he struggled to play first grade, went over to Super League, made a name for himself, came back with the Roosters. And I'm not saying that the Warriors are going to win the comp, but I'm just using the Sam Moa as an example. And when he came back, how good of a front rower he was, and I reckon it'll be the same for Ben Murdoch-Masala.
Fair comment. Kane Evans, Ewan Aitken, Fanua Blake, big pickup. Ratuva O'Sullivan from the Broncos, Marcelo Montoya, and Bailey Sierranen, who's a tremendous pickup at what they probably got him for. Now, after what Peyton did with them, they were like the Titans. I set out thinking I would be really optimistic about trying to find the Warriors as a top 8 team, maybe even a top 6 team. But they've set out to apparently build the biggest team in the NRL, and given all the rule changes and given the 6 again, I think that they've found the wrong tree and kept barking up it. They do have a big team, and it's like I am concerned now.
There's a few big motors in there, though.
They are big motors, but they're going to have to do a lot of work. Forward pack's very impressive. Now you throw Fanua Blake, the Armo back and going again. Murdoch Masala, Tohu Harris, Tavunga, Katoa, Bailey Sirinen, big workhorse, Tanua Brown. Very good forward pack. What's it all mean, Toddo?
I actually think Warriors are going to have a good year. I think last year's only going to they're going to build on that. The fact that they had to stay away from home, and I think they really adapted. They were putting in every week under tough circumstances. I think Cody Nikorima and Harris Tavita, two of the better young halves in the comp. Another year, another off season to work together. They haven't had too many off seasons to work together, but. I actually look at it at their forward pack's outstanding. Bailey Sirinen, really strong for South last year.
Tremendous workhorse. Like, that is a big in, I think.
Yep.
Underrated in.
Tohu Harris, Jazz Tavunga, and then if you've got guys like Murdoch Masilla and Kane Evans coming off your bench, Katoa was great from last year. He's only going to get better, having more time, coming across from rugby union not too long ago. I'm pretty optimistic about him and think that they'll be there around, if not top 8, pushing for the top 8.
They're also getting Fusitu'a back, aren't they? They were just missing for a long time.
Yeah, well, they left and went home. The two wingers, wasn't it? I think Mamalo went as well, didn't
he? They both backed up.
And they're both freakish try scorers at their best, man. When they get a bit of space, they're quick, they're big boys, and then they can finish.
UNA can finish the season well for St George too last year. He rediscovered some form. So
Hiku actually probably had one of his best years of his entire career last year.
Yeah.
Like Hiku on his day is one of the best centers in the comp. He just needs that.
He just used to be really inconsistent, and he started to string it together last year. He really impressed me, actually. I'd never had big raps on him, but he impressed me.
And RTS's last season in rugby league.
I think he's going to have a breakout year, to be honest. Not a breakout year.
Breakout.
I think he's going to be fucking
RTS.
putting everything in this year, man. You know, he's going. He wants to leave with a bang. He's not just going to go fucking. You know,
the big question mark
he's been
for
holding
me
that team together.
Is the hooking position. Wade Egan, I think they've gone all in, and he's going to look to be an 80-minute hooker, from what I've heard.
They're talking him up that he's now fit, and now he's because I had him early last year in Supercoach, and he did quite well. If these forwards turn up, he's going to have to do a lot of defensive work now. He's not used to, but if the key to him is, I think you mentioned it, quick play of the ball. If he can get good runs, he's not necessarily creative, but if he can dart, he can have 2 runs a set and actually provide some good ball there.
You know who I'm interested in to see? I want to see how Adam Fanua Blake goes
Away from
away from Sydney.
Yeah.
away from Sydney. You know, like
He was a beast when he was here, and apparently he had troubles off the field.
Well,
so
it would be ironic if they're going to be stuck in the hub in
Sydney. Staying at Coogee, that'll go real.
Yeah, no, I just like to see how he goes, because at Manly he had guys like Marty Tapau, I know there's guys like Murdoch Masala being there,
but he's going to be the big dog.
But who's going to like those two together? And I saw it like firsthand. Those two together, like they're just like boom, boom,
1-2 punch,
punching each other, like going up against each other. If you're going to do this, I can do it better. And so who's going to be that person?
He now
who's
has
going
to
push
be the
him?
best of the best. He has to do it on his own.
Yeah.
They're halves. Nikorima, Harris, and I guess I've forgotten his name now. The other one, Paul. It's here somewhere. He played Paul Turner, who looked okay in a couple of games he played. Supercoach wise, Toddo, interest you at all, or?
I've actually got Harris Tavita in a very early team. I said I haven't played much with it. I've got him as my backup halfback. I think he'll take over the goal kicking duties. He'll come into his own more. He's one I'm taking a bit of a punt on and thinking he's going to really progress this year.
Cool. Barney, any thoughts on the halves combination?
Well, basically the spine, apart from RTS, is the reason I've got him just missing the 8. I've got him probably finishing 9th. Egan, Nikorima, and Harris Tavita are all basically ball runners. There's not a lot of ball players in that position. Like obviously, if they do get a good roll on with the pack and start on the back of a retreating defence, they can run at holes and then create opportunities.
Well, if they're coached that way, you've got the best supporting fullback in the game almost.
100%.
Who's
Yeah.
going to find a hole if he needs to sniff out a hole?
But they're going to need quick play the balls and a roll on to be putting points on. If they're getting static ball or if they're having to push off out of their back end, I think there might be a few problems there. I still think they're going to be competitive in pretty much every game they play, but I've just got them finishing ninth. I think they might just miss.
They're going to bash some teams, aren't they? End of the day. So.
Fuck, they're gonna
Any
bash
final
some
thoughts,
teams.
Trev?
Oh, mate, if the Warriors can get through injury-free, obviously you're going to have the odd one or two, but nothing major. Mate, they're going to give it a good push this year, I reckon.
Final
I
thoughts, boys?
know I can say that about
Mate?
every team, but
Oh, mate, I'd love to see them finish fourth and then be in a grand final, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I think they might just miss this year. But they're building to something,
And
definitely.
it is good when Warriors are going well.
Yeah.
The New Zealand fans get behind them, they rally.
think
So I'm pulling for them and hope they have a good year.
Well, I've talked about it a couple of times. A fantastic documentary that floats around on Fox Sports where they did I forgot what it's called, but they did all the glory years of the Warriors, and it was absolutely outstanding.
Stacey Jones at his best.
Ryan
Running 'em up.
Tukey.
What a player.
Tukey and all the forwards.
Oh, Cleary.
Ruben Wiki.
Yeah, Ruben Wiki and
Kevin Campion.
I just standing
Oh,
there and
and,
having Ruben Wiki just running
about
at you
Richard
flat out.
Valacente?
yeah, tremendous. I hope they do well. I really set out thinking I was going to find them to finish top 6, and I've ended up putting them 10th probably because I'm concerned that the quick game's going to go against what they're building. I could be wrong, and maybe they're training differently, but if they train a big forward pack to run straight and quick, then maybe they're much higher rated than I've given them. The North Queensland Cowboys, though, are probably not going to be much higher rated than I'm giving them. I'm just looking at their squad now, and 20 of their players are off contract at the end of the year. That's concerns.
worry,
Todd
isn't it?
Payton, sorry,
That's a worry.
it is a worry.
20
And,
blokes coming off contract.
coming off 14th last year, they've lost Gav Cooper, Tom Opachik, who looked all right last week, Asiata, Simpkins, Russell, and picked up Lachlanberg and Kane Bradley. Todd Payton, we know he'll probably instill discipline.
He's the hope of the side, I think.
He's already come out and said, or he's already come out and named Drinkwater at fullback, which is interesting. That all said, I'm very concerned. Barney, are you?
Yep, definitely. Morgan obviously was out pretty much all year. He's I thought he was going to have a pretty good year last year, but obviously injury just cruelled that. He's only getting older. Clifford is already signed to go elsewhere this next year. You'll see if he's a professional and if he's going to put in or if he's just going to be there to collect a paycheck. Obviously, I thought Val Holmes would be fullback, but obviously they're going to put Drinkwater in there. I'm not sure about that. I thought Drinkwater actually played better at 6 than he did at fullback, but
He's got that rainbow ball.
and he's quick and he sort of disrupts. He's got a little bit of footwork. He disrupts a bit of.
Him and Adam Dewey are the
defence,
same player.
but-
The more I've thought about it, but that's for later. Yeah, keep going.
But Holmes on the wing, obviously he's proven on the wing, so
He's
it's
a
probably
origin
Star
not going
winger.
to hurt
Yeah.
anything,
He's
is
an
it?
origin winner.
The forward pack's another year older. Maguire, McLean, Hess has been in and out of form for the last 2 years. It's hard to get excited about the Cowboys, man.
Yeah, there's not too much to add, is
Yeah.
there? I mean, I think Peyton's come out and said Taumalolo's going to play less minutes. When your best player is going to play less, I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Well, man, when he's running 300 metres a game and you're thinking, it's like going out there scoring a century and losing the test match.
Yeah.
Like,
I just really...
And last year he didn't do that. He was injured for a bit, but he didn't quite. He was, I guess, for a Supercoach special, a Supercoach love child for 5 years,
Yeah.
and now you can't possibly touch him.
Too temperamental the minutes that he gets.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the bench for spells
Yeah.
at 20
Yeah.
minutes at a
Yeah,
time.
and there was like 3 weeks where I thought it was genius play because he looked amazing coming on in the back end, but it didn't hold up. Anything else to add, Toddo, before
I think this is probably one of our shortest ones, the Cowboys.
Well,
Unfortunately, there's not too
what I
much to
said
say.
about the Sharks applies here. So, Granville, Tamalolo, Gilbert, Hess, McLean, Maguire,
I
Robson are all not quite pot plants, not quite Shark level pot plants, but they're all a year older. What are they adding to their career now?
retirement fund.
Done.
Retirement fund. Kyle Felt, you throw in there. Kyle Felt, obviously a try scoring freak. Hammer's quick. Drinkwater at 1, Val at 2. What does that mean?
To be
Very
honest,
It's a lot of money for a winger. If
Exactly.
what Holmes would have demanded to come back,
750 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
you want to be paying your wingers that much money?
Nope.
I can't see him finishing any higher than 14th, and that's maybe optimistic.
I got him at 12, but looking at it now,
And the thing is, Clifford, okay, if you had to find an upside, Clifford, Morgan, Drinkwater might be a spine you can
Robson
build around.
looked okay at points last year.
And maybe Val and Drinkwater can do the Addo Pappenhausen stuff, but
You
do
know
we
what?
need to do anything else?
I just want to quickly say, I think
Of course you can.
the Cowboys will go out and give their all. As you already mentioned, they've got 20 players off contracts. Players are playing for contracts. They're playing for their careers.
true.
And that's when you normally find players tend to play good.
I really didn't make a point. I agree with you, but I really didn't make a point about that. But then I realised there's actually 10 teams with 20 players off contract
off
next
contract
year.
as well, yeah.
So it's sort of like
everyone's
a
playing
point.
Shuffling deck
Yeah.
chairs.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing for a contract, but two wants whatever. And what he's going to be doing up at the Cowboys is putting things into place. Knowing he's got those 20 players off contract, he's going to probably just say, look, I'm only going to keep between 5 and 10 of yous.
Yep.
So the other, you got to play for your contract elsewhere.
How many years does Tamo got left? Probably 5.
Yeah, he signed like a
something
10-year.
like that.
It's
he
10
signed a
year, and he's
10-year
probably
contract, yeah.
5
I
years
think
in.
last year was the fifth year
Yeah.
last year. So
And I
this
know
will be
he's a
sixth.
freak, but didn't we say that was a mistake then? And
Oh, they've already got.
Well, you can't.
They've already got the money out of him.
I
Yeah.
don't
He's
think
already
it'd be a
done
mistake.
plenty for
Yeah.
them.
He-
they've won a comp.
He's
And
already got the- they've
the thing
already
is,
got
he's
the
not doing. He's not
cash
actually
out of
doing anything wrong. He's just not the high level. Anything else to add in
He
the
was still
Cowboy?
quite good last year, man.
Yeah.
He was injured. a
We
bit.
are holding him to high
He's a
standards.
freak. He was.
He's
He was still one of the better back rowers running around. Even playing 50 minutes, he's still gonna. He's probably
Kill
gonna
most teams.
get 200 meters playing 50 minutes.
Michael
You know,
Morgan, super coach. Anyone?
no.
You know what?
I want to make sure
Morgan
he's
would
fit
be a
before
roughie.
I'd even look
If
at
he's-
him.
He'll be cheap, I reckon.
He's 350, I think.
His body's pretty bad. I think he
Yeah.
seems to get injured every year. The
Last 2
few
years, he is
a lot of bad injuries.
A handful of games, like you know,
Anyway.
Oh, good.
the seal.
All right, I'll get a quick plug in too before we keep going. Our good friend Dan Payne has just released his second official book. He's got a few other historical books, but Rugby League Heroes yesterday, the second edition, is coming out in May. So jump on to Dan Payne's antique group there. You'd know him from the NRL fan show and Vossi's other show, and the antique historian, the NRL historian. You know him, and he's
Dan's
does a great Dan's Collectibles on Facebook. It is does an outstanding job. A tremendous human being and a great group to be a part of. And he's got his next book coming out, so be involved there. Let's head on to the Parramatta Eels.
Dan's team.
Dan's team,
Dan's
that's right.
team, and I'm glad I'm off the long run for this one.
You love bashing up Parramatta.
I do love bashing Parra, and I didn't find much to bash, but which makes me sad. They finished third last year. The losses: Kane Evans, David Gower, Andrew Davey, George Jennings, Otokamanu to the Tigers, Jai Field, Takarangi to Hull, our man Tackers, name our mine, Alvaro, Salmon, Terapo, and Reece Davies are both retired. New faces, Keegan Hipgrave, Bryce Cartwright, cough. Michael Oldfield, Nathaniel Roach on a development contract, Tom Opachik, Isaiah Papali, and Joey Lussick coming back from Salford. He played grand final last year, didn't he, for Salford?
The year before.
Year before. Now, it's Parramatta. May I?
Go.
Yes, you may.
Please.
Okay. Well, I said it wanting to bash Parra, and I think it's only a reaction of the dickheads I hang around with. But what you come back to is when you actually look at the team and look at their draw, and when you look at sometimes when you sit down and do this stuff, you look at it through a spectrum of, hey, grand final. When you actually look at it through the spectrum of week in, week out, this team's going to win 18 games next year, 17, 18 games. They're a good team. They haven't lost a lot. Actually, they've lost a little bit of bench. They've lost a bit of bench strength, but they've picked up real good bench strength. Papali was good last week. He was probably the only
he did
real
look good.
standout from last week's trial. Keegan Hipgrave, I had a minor crush on for a lot of that week. Sean Lane on the bench and Kafusi. They get their spine back. They've actually got one of the most set spines now after a year. They got Dylan Brown fit, Mahoney fit, Mitch Moses, and then Gutho, probably the biggest trier in the comp. Will I back them to win the comp? Absolutely not. Will I back them to win many more games than they're going to lose? Yes. Tremendous forward pack. Madison, Brown, RCG and Paulo were outstanding. And then you're going to have Hipgrave now coming on running hard lines, hopefully, and bombing that trial. And Papali looked tremendous. Sean Lane let no one down. I think they finished top 4 again, and I couldn't possibly have any interest in ever backing them to win a finals game because they haven't won it since 2014. Anything to add?
I think Moses will be their letdown.
I think Parramatta fans feel that too, but sorry, keep going.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I know everyone had that hype about him last year, but when again you look at
Didn't he show himself up exactly what he is?
That's right. No, like it was just a stat, you know. It was their forwards laid all the groundwork, and everyone else done their job around him, and they made him look $1 million. And when he had to step up, he was Casper.
Yeah, I think on the flip side of that, Dylan Brown is one of the best
Dylan Brown,
young
yeah.
talents in the game.
God,
And
man.
when he
He's
was injured
the
last year,
Kiwi
that-
5'8",
oh,
isn't he? This year?
absolutely, for the next 10 years probably.
Yeah.
When he got injured last year and
That
the
hurt him.
pressure went on Moses, it hurt him big time.
Fell
And
apart, yeah.
it wasn't a coincidence that they started losing games when he
They
wasn't
didn't
there.
really win until he came back.
A question I've got, and I don't know if it's a bit silly, but
No, ask it.
the style that they play, they're best when they're playing up tempo, throwing the ball around. Paulo's offloading. You know, they've got these players out in the backs. Wonga Blake, like, don't have the best hands, but playing at Bankwest where it gets really dewy,
Yeah.
Yep.
does that come into play and actually hurt them? Playing at a ground where it's so slippery and it doesn't really suit their game style. If they were playing on like a Suncorp or something where it's dry,
That's a
Great question. I didn't actually study how many night games they have. Do they have a lot of...
I haven't had a
Bankwest
look,
days?
but I just know every time it's a night game at Bankwest, it seems
Yeah.
to be dewy.
Don't-
The
yeah.
handling's bad,
And
and
the reason
that doesn't
why
suit their game.
and the reason why it's so dewy at Bank West is because the ground itself is below sea level.
And it's
Right.
a coliseum as well. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of air that comes in through
That's
the top,
right,
the
and
way that
because
it's
it's
built
below-
up and over the
That's right.
ground.
And because
Yeah.
it's below sea level, that's why it's so dewy. It doesn't matter how hot it is during the day; it's just going to get dewy at night.
Yeah, but it's some ordinary games of footy when it gets slippery, and
Yeah.
I don't think
They don't change. They have no interest in changing. They play
they
what they do.
get-
They have to go through the forwards realistically
Um,
then. But yeah. Opacek and Papali looked good in that trial game. All the trial games so far have basically been reserve grade level or below, but they were two standouts in that game.
It was an ugly watch for the first probably half an hour, probably first half hour.
I've watched every trial game
But
so
it
far
was-
that's
yeah,
been
they look good.
televised, and they've all been pretty, you know, they're young kids that haven't played for 12 months, you know. It's what do you expect out of them?
Oh, yeah,
But
I get that.
there's been some standouts. As Toddo said, I love Dylan Brown. He just looks like, you know, he's got a running game, he's got a passing game, he's got it all realistically. He probably could work on his kicking game a little bit, but the kid's a star.
But he was also I think the first half of last year that was Moses' job.
Yep.
Now when Moses got injured, he took that over and was fine.
Yep.
And then what happened is I think they all took turns to get injured after that. And
Moses
there's no
gives them
care.
enough structure to win, as you said, more games than they're going to lose. They've lost a little bit of depth in that engine room. I've got them finishing out of the 4. I've got them finishing 6th.
You know
Fair
what?
comment.
What I was pretty shocked about was Van letting Jai Field go.
Mm.
Now, like he was very underrated, and like have been a big fan of him for a long time.
I think watching the trials, I think they have a rap on Jesse Arthur.
Yeah. Oh,
who
Jesse Arthur, he
looked
does.
good.
Oh, man, like Jesse
He needs to put in
Arthur's-
probably 15 kilos.
Yeah.
He's built like a big rake, but I think they think they've got 2 halves they can use as
No,
reserve.
well, mate,
now.
when your dad's head coach, mate, like.
Yeah, but
and I'm not disrespecting, mate. Like, 'cause
No, I
I've
get that.
seen him over the years, get him rep, like definitely in the schoolboy rep teams in front of players.
He's got a nice short passing game, but yeah,
Mm.
you'd obviously need to see a bit more out of him. But yeah.
all right. Question marks. The 2 wingers. I think
the
Sivo's been
centres.
shown up.
The centres as well. I think.
Sivo's Waka doesn't pass is the Parramatta fans' outcry. But then the flip side of this, Fergo doesn't go looking for necessarily hard work. I don't think he could probably make a few more dummy half runs and stuff, but
He still gets quite a
does
few
his
metres,
job.
Fergo.
I think the knock on him was unfair last year, but I think towards the back end of last year we saw Sivo really get turned around by short kicking, kicking back in
Yeah,
behind
Sharks started
them,
it,
turning
and
around,
then
and then
the teams
they
did it
jarred and
week
they put him
after
right on show.
Yeah.
Mate, like
Is it a big year for those two wingers?
turning
I
around,
think
hitting the corners.
Mike, they would have worked on that through the off season. Because last time I saw him play, like where a team had his measure like that, was in the 2016 Sydney Shield Grand Final.
Yep.
Against East Campbelltown, they had his measure that day, and then obviously he's got kicked on, and then last season towards
Yeah, there's a
the
run
end,
of about
they
4 or
got him
5
out.
games.
Yeah, they
where
worked.
just
Everyone
kept
worked
They
him
worked
out.
him-
turning
they worked him
around
out
and
again.
pinning him in the corner.
But he'll work hard on it, and I reckon he'll get back to his best.
Oh, he's a destructive runner of the ball at his best.
Like even last year, even when they had his measure, mate, he was still better than most of the wingers running around in the
But as
comp
you
anyway.
said, Blake's a runner. Opacek's a bit more of a runner as well. I'm not sure if they've got the passing game to set up the wingers outside of them.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have to cut the centres out and hit the wingers to
Yeah.
put them into the edges. But
One point I had wanted to raise is Reid Marnie at hooker. He's had a couple of years now. I don't know, does he offer enough out of dummy half? I know you've
Well,
got
he was
Moses
proved
and
at the start of
Brown.
last year as a Queensland hooker, and he was injured a lot. He's very Wade Egan, isn't he? Isn't he a running hooker? Isn't he the same player?
I think he sort of stops at the line a little bit himself.
Yeah.
He'll sort of start to run and then sort of stop, which sort of kills the play, and then look for somebody on his outside.
What are your thoughts? Yeah. What are your thoughts, Toddo?
Yeah, I just don't know if he's the hooker to take them, to the next level and beat the good teams.
So does Joey Lussick play 17?
Well, I think Joey Lussick comes in and relieves him. Marnie used to play 80 minutes most weeks last year, but I think, having Joey Lussick there.
Yeah. Oh, I think with Reid, like you touched on it, he gets out and stops. But I think if the players are pushing up with him on both sides,
Give him a bit of help. Yeah.
they'll make him go through that line more. But if they're not pushing up with him, it's like, what am I meant to do?
Fair comment.
And Dave, like he's good. He can do it, but it's just up to the players to push up with him.
RCG had really the best 20 rounds in a long, long time last year. He was outstanding, and then I thought sort of went missing at the back end. I don't know if it's just caught up with him or what. Are we thinking just back to his best next year, or he's had his little spurt?
No, I think him and Paulo feed off each other. To be honest, I think they basically challenged each other all last year, and that's why it brought the best out of both of them. And I think they'll both do it again. I don't see Parramatta having too many problems in the forwards.
No, not at all. Not at all. Super coach. So, Toddo, you're here. You're our super coach, number 20. This is a hot super coach team for I think many people find many reasons to find people out of this team. Gutho, just such a trier. Does he put himself up there every week as an option against he's basically the same price as Pappenhausen. He's obviously two-thirds the price of your Tedesco's. Is he realistically a second or first fullback?
There's such a stacked position fullback, and going back to what I said about Bank West, there's a lot of dour games there. If it's at night, there's a lot of,
That's a very good call. It's something I
20,
hadn't thought of.
18, 20
I'd have to
points
actually go study.
is a
That is
winning
such an
score.
interesting thing that it's actually against Para to be there at night.
It is.
And if
So
Pappy's kicking goals, Pappenhausen's kicking goals, there's no way you pick
The
Gutho in front of him.
two I'd look at for Supercoach is Dylan Brown, because I just have such a high opinion
Yeah, I
of
had
him,
him probably
and
come, yep.
Junior Paulo. He can be one of the best forwards in the game.
Yeah,
and
he's
it
got
suits
the attacking
Supercoach. He's got the
stats, and
attacking
he's pretty
stats.
solid in the base.
Now,
Yeah.
Madison's been in the
Madison,
engine room
of
for
course,
2
as well.
years,
Yeah,
still
you're
there.
right. Madison, he's
And the pod, but he's 14. He's probably on the bench. Keegan Hipgrave at 200k.
I'm not.
I like a little
Not
bit.
sold on
I don't
Hipgrave.
know what your opinion on Hipgrave is why it's so high, but I'm happy,
At
to, I'm
200K,
happy
I'm
for you to
thinking.
talk to me after this and
Oh,
explain.
well, I'll explain it later. No, explain it now. Damn it. No, he's. I thought he did good stuff off Ash Taylor last year, but as a bench forward behind this pack,
Lane goes on
I'm probably
runs
looking
in
elsewhere.
about 4 or 5 weeks in Supercoach, and if you get him at the right time, just before he goes on one of those runs where he scores 4 tries in 5 weeks, and you'll get some money out of him. But yeah,
and those two
he's a
wingers,
bit hot and cold.
Virgo and Seaver.
No, not going to touch
No,
him in
Either.
Supercoach.
Not interested.
Not
Leave me out.
interested.
Cool. Any final words on Parramatta?
What's the matter?
What is the matter? Quick Facebook shout out to our homies that have written in.
That sounded homies.
The comments, well, only thought of Parramatta because of our good mate Gaz, who runs the PCTC. He says, Hart says, Eels, Head says, Para. Our good man Jamie Nielsen, team to beat his South Sydney Dalian Nathan Cleary. Action Bailey, our man, his top 8 is Rabbitohs, Para. It's these tipping Para to finish second. Raiders, Storm, Panthers, Roosters, Tigers, Warriors, Rabbits, Raiders, GF, the Dragons, a Spoon. That's a very nice top 8. Action, I'm very happy with that if that comes to fruition.
And did you say that Gaz tipped Para with his heart and the Eels with his head?
Yes.
Yep.
Right, so. Gaz, you idiot.
That's what happened. No, you're the idiot. What are you
Head
talking
says
about?
Raiders. Head says Raiders. All right, let's get to the minor premiers and the grand finalists. The Penrith Panthers coming off the tremendous year. Would they win 20-odd straight?
18, I think
15,
it was.
16? Who knows?
I think it was 18
Too many.
as a record. They've lost. Grand finalists, obviously, they've lost Jack Hetherington to the Dogs, who was missing half the year anyway. Caleb Atkins, Tamo to the Tigers, Mansell to the Bunnies, Tedavano, Laurie, Fare, Blore, Malachi, Hollis, McGrady. Their gains.
You don't have it here, but Scott
Bailey,
Sorensen
Scott
from
Sorensen.
Sharks,
Yep.
Salmon from the Eels as well. As a bit
Robert
of depth that's
Jennings,
come
Matt
across.
Eisenhuth,
James
and Yaman Salmon.
Yeaman, is it?
Jamin, it's probably Jamin.
We'll go
Yeaman's
with Yeaman.
Dutch.
Sounds
Dutch. Spells his crone. And Momorowski, good signing. Momorowski in the centres. Have at it, Toddo.
Yeah. I think everyone's going to expect them to be super consistent again this year. They haven't in their losses. Tarmel, he's a loss with his leadership and is very, very good last year. Mansell, again, a lot of experience, but you've got the exciting Staines coming in who offers a lot. He's very quick. He's a try scorer from the very small sample we had last year. Looking at that team, I think they are going to be tough to beat. They're actually a good team. There's not too many superstars in there. You do have the likes of Cleary, Luai, who's really emerged last year, in the forward pack, Fisher Harris, absolute gun. Kick out can be one of the most destructive forwards on his day, but it's a super consistent team. They're just strong across the board. They'll get more than their fair share of wins. It just comes down to how much did they take from the experience of last year in those big games, and who's going to step up in those big moments to go that one more step. Because we saw last year in the grand final, you have guys like Cameron Smith, Pappenhausen coming up with big plays. You just look at this team and you hope that maybe it is going to be a Luai or a Cleary. Dylan Edwards at the back, he's an outstanding support player.
I want to wrap him because 2 years ago he couldn't catch a ball and he would have been in a conversation top 5 fullbacks in the comp last year. He was outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I top 4 lock almost, if you can say that. Interested to see how much they learned from that grand final loss last year.
Barney? Oh, it's going Trev now. Trev.
Yeah, that's so good.
Trev!
Yes. No, guys. I know that this person's going to be out for a little while due to suspension. But Brent Naden, in that grand final last year, he was one of their best coming off the bench.
Yeah. I think that was because he was off the bench, is my humble, but kick on.
Yeah.
Opinion.
And also, I know the talk of Charlie Staines. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I've seen him come through the grade. But some of those tries he scored last year was mainly due to Naden. And Naden got to this stage there that he reminded me of Matt Gidley. And that, his offload, everything about him just reminded me of Matt Gidley back in the late 90s there.
What a player he was.
Yeah, that's right. And I think if Naden gets back to that level that he was last season, and they give him the early ball, I think he could be the X factor that Penrith need out there.
Harvinho?
He's on his last chance, but by the looks of it.
Oh, man, I'm not
One more off-field thing, I think Naden's out the door. But
but I'm just saying in general.
I'm not either sold. I'm not completely sold on Charlie Staines yet either, to be honest. as a
Hey,
Sharks
Barney, can I
supporter,
have a
I
beer?
watched him
Sorry.
score those 6 tries against us when basically 5 of them were just grab the ball and put it down over
That's
the
what I'm
line.
talking about, eh?
But like, he's a young kid. He's got plenty of potential, but obviously the proof's going to be in the pudding at the back end of this year. Whether he's still scoring, a try a game at the back end of this year. He's big enough, tall enough, fast enough. But whether he's going to get the good clean ball out on that side now that they've shifted Toddo over to the other side, so they've completely stacked that left-hand side by the looks of it. You've got Crichton, Toddo and Kickow on that left-hand side, so that just shifts your defence to
Hey, do we think
chuck another number on that left-hand side, I'm pretty sure.
do we think the Postman Hotel up there where he's from, Forbes, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, do
Forbes.
you reckon they still do that drink off every time he plays?
No, that won't be happening again.
Because I
I'm
reckon
pretty
if they do,
sure.
I think we should make
I think we should take a bush tour out there.
Yeah, take a bush tour
Cost
out
them
there.
$50,000.
Cost of it, yeah. Well, I think we should take a bush chat for sure and certain.
We'll go there for the Panthers.
So we are committed. So for those who don't know,
$50,000,
we obviously go away for our club
One
Trev
night.
tours, but I'm actually keen to go and do some of the bush tours for some of these bush footy games. We'll pick some out. We are doing Magic Round. It is on the table, so anyone keen, jump in from Magic Round and come and.
I think Penrith's lost a little bit on the trade period. I think they've just lost a fraction of depth.
I'll tell you the depth they've lost because I haven't had my chance yet. I'm not. It's not quite the Parramatta
It's
long
not going
run,
to hurt
but
their 17, but if
I think it does because you
injuries
take
come
kick
in-
out, and Mansour out. Your two most experienced players out. Mansour is one of the hardest working winners in the game. I think that Charlie Staines has got a lot of work to do for a ringy little bloke that Toddo could smash. Concerns me. I like for the first 4 rounds. I would be having Momorowski start. I think he's a very very good centre, and I think that helps him out. I like the fact that the two ticks are the year that threatened to maybe create some cracks. They've already wrapped up Luai and Crichton. Good. That's good. That's 2 issues
That's
to bed.
perfect, Yep.
As I said, Dylan Edwards, tremendous. Brian Tuo is one of the best wingers in the game, bar none. I know he's not the biggest, but his hard-working stuff, I would put him in the top
He's tough as
top
nails,
4 or
man.
5 wingers in the game,
Bloke.
just for his hard work, but then his attacking
And
flair.
he's quick as well.
Tremendous. So they've stacked that flair. So
I think he's switching sides to the left-hand side
yeah,
this year as well.
so he's going to him and Crichton linking up, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the re-signings.
Kickout.
It's a happy place at Penrith. Crichton, Luai have recommitted. Yo,
So that was my issues to start with. Kickout, Penrith spent 10 rounds last year not passing the ball to Kickout. He played D-guy for 10 rounds, and then we knew at some point the penny had to drop.
Yeah, we talked about
It
it for
did.
weeks.
But what happened as a result? Liam Martin's a star now.
but does his position come under threat from Capewell after such a good origin?
That's my
Very
next
possibly.
question.
That's
So
right,
you're very smart, Todd. I like it. That's why I invited you to this show. So Capewell was essentially probably playing 14, but he's the star of Origin. You could pick him at centre and not have any issues. You could put him at lock and have issues. You could put him at second row and not have any issues. Where does he fit in this Penrith team?
I wouldn't be surprised if he started in the second row and Martin was pushed into the front row rotation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Fisher,
something we
Harris,
don't know?
Martin.
Fisher, Harris, Martin.
Is he too small for a front row?
I don't think so. Not in today's game. I don't think.
Well,
No,
Leota
that's
was
true.
pretty explosive off the bench,
Leo,
realistically as well.
Leota's
so
not even 6 foot tall.
I just
so we
don't think
put Leota back to the bench. and
Capewell is too
Well,
good
Spencer
to be
Leno
sitting
is
on
not
the
in
bench
that.
Yeah,
for
fucking
40
oath he
minutes a
is,
game.
man.
Yeah, he's a footy player,
Yeah.
out and out.
I loved him. I was
Pretty
shattered
right.
when
Yeah.
the Sharks let him go.
I
man. was shattered.
he is this year's super coach, Yo, if you know he's starting. 'Cause
Yep.
last year,
If
Yo
he's
was
starting,
the jump on and
Yeah, yep.
hold on for
Good
the
call.
ride, didn't matter. He is, but if he's not starting, then you can't. But he's such an interesting thing. I don't disagree. Why not just put him on the field at 12?
Mhm.
Push Martin up. You got Kiko. Kiko's going to play the same game he always does anyway.
One thing that worries me is that Coruscant basically went under the radar for the first half of the season, and he absolutely killed it. Like
he did.
he had a brilliant season, man. Like fucking game after game,
was
he
awesome.
absolutely killed it.
Got
He's
him
going to
going
have a
forward.
target on him now. They're going to every team's going to be watching him, going, make sure you don't let him jump out because then you get Cleary giving good ball to Luai on the
Yeah.
back of
Oh,
that.
that's a
Here's the thing.
So-
Okay,
that's a
so
funny thing though, right? He was doing the exact same thing at Manly,
Yeah.
getting out dummy half when he was at Manly the year before, getting to go forward.
He's been a gun.
He
fucking
done it at
since he
South
started,
Sydney
man.
back in
Yeah.
2014. He's been doing the same thing year. And it's like Cameron Smith and the other good hookers. You know they're going to do it, but then they're stopping it.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier said than done, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
I just think that, it's going to be a focal point this year. There's going to be a lot more emphasis on making sure that you split properly and you don't go too far.
Yeah.
Push your edges back in so that, it might create a bit of space out wider, but I think they're going to tighten up on Coruscant.
But we also know
that role a
thing is,
little bit.
Penrith set themselves up and they put themselves on shows. What they do, this is not a knock. They spend the first 2 minutes of every game just getting field position, not trying. They play that Nathan Cleary inside ball.
They don't make mistakes.
Nathan takes it. All right, you're going to go next. You're going to go next.
Everyone knows
and
where
take
they're
position.
playing
And then
mature
what happened is at the back end. The positive is what happened at the back end. Luai realised his spot, where Cleary was the anchor and Luai was the spark. They have.
They complement each other well.
In the argument for the most settled spine in the comp now, because I set out to write them off this year, and I know I guess the critics are, and the more you dig deeper, I'm not writing them right off. I think they're probably a top 4 team. Out of respect, they need to find some leaders though. They need some forward leaders. They need to work out what exactly Kickow is, because he was that explosive left edge first try scorer. You're backing every week first try, and then come semi-time, he wanted to touch a ball every 2 minutes and almost cost him.
Yeah, you got a bit
semi.
of white line fever in the semi-final.
I love Liam Martin. I love Yo.
I've got him running 5th, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I think
if
fifth-
they
I
finish
think
You reckon there's 4 better teams over the course of the season?
I think fifth's where I'll put him. Yep.
Wow.
I've got them
I
on
see that team, and over the 26 rounds, I don't think they're missing the top 4.
I think
Okay,
they're just going to. I think they'll back off at about the 3/4 mark and just try to cruise into the finals and save a bit. Wouldn't surprise me if they finish 5th and win the comp.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got
True,
them at
yeah.
5th.
I think with the Panthers, like they showed last year, just playing mature footy. You don't have to scoff every play. Just grind away, work to your point, do what you need to do, and then when the time comes, then put points on the board.
I think they're para. I think they're a better para in that how they
That's
play for 20 minutes.
disrespectful
It is,
fucking Parramatta. Jesus.
but yeah, I mean, from come finals time, I'd like to see them actually do it. But what they do well is Nathan Cleary plays for the first 25 minutes, repeat sets. He's only worried about repeat sets, because if he earns, it's like he earns the right for us to score 20 points in the second half. And I respect that. I've sort of half talked myself during the course of the show back into them being a top 4 team, but I'm saying 5th as well, 5th-ish. Only because lots of teams suck and they'll do really well. I'm interested to see what happens with the forward pack. Interested to see what happens
Wouldn't
with
surprise me
Capewell.
if they get minor premiers and fucking. But
Oh well, if they do
That's
that,
what I mean,
if
fifth at the
they
moment,
are minor
so-
premiers, they probably win the comp. Through the Super Coach spectrum, again, this is an interesting Super Coach team here. Toddo, Barney, I've had to say, could you possibly touch Edwards, Toddo, Crichton?
I think you can make a case for all of them, and obviously Charlie Staines is going to be picked in 99% of teams after
Yeah,
his try scoring efforts last year.
Cleary at 700, you
Cleary's pretty
can't.
much you have to pick him. I think he's
So you're going to set and forget
set and forget. Yep.
Coruscant?
No. I think-
Hooker's such an interesting Super Coach this year.
Yeah, there's.
I'll
you
give
know,
you some time to think about it, but do you have a Super Coach hooker you want to look at early?
I'm going to go Damien Cook as a set and forget, and then put Connor Watson as the backup. And then you've got guys like Little as well who are cheap.
Very
So
good.
yeah,
No.
I'll stick clear of Coruscant, but there's plenty of Supercoach relevant players in this Panthers
And
team.
then the engine room Kickow, yay.
No, just
He's not a
if he's gonna-
Supercoach
if he's going
guy.
to keep being a decoy as much as he was last
Yeah.
year.
Martin, Yo,
Fisher Harris
Capewell.
is probably a set
Yo,
and forget.
Yo, now
No,
you
probably
lose
not.
dual position.
Dual position, and he's so expensive after his year last year. But Momorowski will be pretty cheap, so if he's going to lock down that centre spot,
Honestly, I would, and I know you love him, I would have Momorowski starting 4 before Naden.
Oh yeah, no, like Momorowski, like
And
he
can
is
play
good.
wing before Staines. To be honest, would play wing before Staines for me, but if Naden's back. But where the smoke's fire, I got a feeling Naden might not be at Penrith Panthers in 12 months' time. Anything to finish on? Penrith? Done?
Well, it'll be good just to see how they go.
All
Like,
done.
I just,
I'm excited.
I'm excited for them, and just like they've got some good young players coming through as well through the grades. Like two young fellas that played the New South Wales Cup at the moment, and they're still young enough to play Jersey flag. And Isaac Tago, good back rower, and that. So, mate, I'm excited for Penrith for what they got coming through as well.
All right. The St. George Illawarra Dragons, as my balls drop as I say that. What do we do with this team? Anthony Griffin in charge. Lost Frizzell, Aiken, Graham, Host, Sims, Saab, Levoda, Tristan Taylor. New faces. Farmasili, Jack Bird, and Daniel Alvaro, who Ollie is spruiking as the best front rower in the comp, in his opinion.
They've lost on that trade period.
They have lost on that trade period. They've brought in a 60-year-old coach. They've brought in a 6-year-old coaching staff. I am concerned that they had no spark last year. Dufty and Lomax are the hope.
And they're going to have targets on their back.
And they know how they play now.
Everyone knows that's
right.
where their points are coming from. So
It just screams out Griffin wanting to get that old under-20s Broncos team, the band back together. He's brought in McCulloch. He's made Hunt captain.
And put him back to 7. Man, the bloke's played his best football at 9 for the last 2.5 years, and you want to put him back to 7?
Well, it's.
Really?
I think the 5'8's the bigger problem, to be honest. Before Hunt,
that's true.
Will they have a job at the end of the year?
Probably
I don't know, but
yeah, so out of the trials, but they're now well exposed because we've seen Jaden Sullivan play a couple of trials. We've seen...
Looks like a good kid.
And he looks like he's got something to offer. We've seen a little bit more of Cody Ramsey, who's not in this 7. I wouldn't pick him on either wing ahead of what they've got.
You're definitely not putting him at fullback in this trial.
Jack Bird at 3.
Lomax is their best player, hands down.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's a superstar.
And I'd say Dufty's in... is probably second, and then there's just a big cliff that goes off, and you know, do we have any? Does anyone have any? Does anyone have any optimism for this St. George Illawarra side?
The third best player, they just signed one. They just signed their third best player. So
Who's that?
McCulloch will be their third best player.
Oh, yeah, he'll make tackles and he'll job.
It'll be a rebuilding season for him, and that give him this year, and it's going to be something that's going to not happen overnight. Give him at least 1 to 2 years, and they'll get back.
Farmasuilai looks like a decent prop.
I don't
should
see
go
any
okay,
young blood coming through into this team.
No,
that's the thing. If you're rebuilding, you want to at least see some young guys who are.
No, you want half a team.
What they have is, and they play, but the problem is they played in that trial and got towed. But they have that 20 years. The under 20s teams playing together for a lot of years.
The last 10 years, that's what the Dragons fans have been screaming at, man.
Yeah.
Like, because they screamed it. That's why they wanted
Sullivan,
McGregor's head
Ramsey,
for
blah, blah,
6
blah,
or 7
yeah.
years. They wanted the kids coming through. And he didn't bring Dufty through. He didn't bring Lomax through until they were 23, 24 now. And they're just showing up, and they're the best players in the team. Like,
Didn't bring Sab.
So, you know, but the problem is now Dufty's also, and he was good for me, Supercoach-wise, for a while there. He showed himself up as the rainbow ball one pick one trick pony. He's got that support player then to throw it out there.
He's not getting the stuff up the middle either. There's no holes in the middle because they're not stretching the middle. So, like he's got enough pace if there's holes in the middle to punch through those holes, but he's not getting them. So
and there's no.
And they've given away their best forward. Frizzell was close to their best player last year.
There was games where he was absolutely a freak. Kate Ellis will be fine, but what does that all mean?
Jack Bird hasn't been fit for 2.5 years.
What does it all mean?
I hope he gets fit because he looked like a super talent when he was at the Sharks. But
Mate, I think with Jack Bird, as you mentioned, he wasn't fit. I think the Broncos just didn't give a shit about him.
Yeah.
Even though they were paying him good money, they just didn't give a shit about him. And that's one
There's
thing I've
probably too much going on for him to get their heads around it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've learned from quite a few players who, over the years, have gone to the Broncos. They go, mate, once you get injured up there, they don't really give a shit unless you're from Queensland.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, the Sharks had to nurse him through, like the premiership year when he was there. Like, freaking, he's got arthritic problems, and then he had a rib cartilage problem and a knee problem.
They got him
through. They got him on the field. Obviously, he turned up there busted, and all the Broncos fans blame the Sharks because he didn't play at the Broncos. But if they wanted him back on the field, surely they could have got him back on the field.
That's right.
So, what does Norman and Hunt at potentially 6 and 7 actually mean, Barney?
Wooden spoon.
What does it mean, Toddo?
Yeah, I have to agree. And let's see if we see that GST sign out on the hill still. The same guys, a great St George team. I think it's a year to put it away this year. I don't think it's relevant to the GST.
I'll try and find
When was
some.
the last time Norman played more than 3 or 4 good games in a season?
No, he's got one a year.
while,
He's got one a year. All right, and it's usually when someone rubs his face in the dirt or something and goes, "Oh, I'm going to try now."
At his best, man, he's right up there. But
He needs a job now, so
how often
maybe
is he
we'll
at
see.
his best?
The positive I'll
I
find.
believe he's going to job at Aristocrat.
Programming
Installing
machines.
pokies, yeah.
What's this positive, Dag?
There it is.
I want to hear.
The 2 wingers. But can someone tell me why Ravalawa missed the back end of last year? Does anyone know?
No
I still don't
idea.
know.
No,
Seems to
still
me-
don't.
He was good for him last year.
He was absolutely killing it and then got sacked.
No, he had the game where he just smashed Sevo, and then he had another
the
good
next
game, and then
was a good
disappeared.
one, and then didn't
And
get
no one
picked
said,
again
"Boo,
for
we
the
couldn't."
rest of the
There was
season.
injury, or
Remember, Mary couldn't pick his team towards the end of the year. It was the
That's true.
picked
players-
by-
And
picked
I
by
thought
committee.
Pereira is smaller, but Pereira is just a little tryhard. I like his effort. That's
Vaughan's
there
a
it is.
great front rower, but
Yeah, but
great
what's that
fit
mean?
was
He's a
all-
great.
maybe not
He
great.
was.
He's
Good.
okay.
He's a acceptable
good
front
front
rower.
rower.
And yeah, Dufty, Bird, Lomax, Ravalawa, Pereira, and then we don't need to talk anything else about that team. Anyone backing Daniel Alvaro for prop of the year as forecast by Ollie on our bold prediction show?
He might not have a job by the end of the year.
There it is. Let's get to South then.
Alvaro or Ollie.
South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Sack
So
of
that
both.
they finished 6th. They came home with a wet sail. They got all the way through to the semis. They were outstanding at that back end. They've lost Ethan Lowe, who's retired, James Roberts, Bailey Siren, and Jack Johns, Suwali, who we'll see in action tomorrow night, I believe, or tonight. We haven't watched it yet. Corey Allen, Amone, Corey Dennis, Dirk Hill, and Kai Rodwell.
Just with that,
Hello.
I know you've mentioned Tom Amone here. I still believe he's still on a train and trial at South Sydney.
Okay.
And that, what I've heard is that apparently he's told his agent that if you try to get me somewhere else on a train and trial, I'll rather go back and play at Blacktown
Yeah, okay.
and play New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So he wants a full-time contract or he'll go back to Blacktown?
I believe
Yeah,
he's
fair enough.
because he's still at South Sydney because they're paying for his rehab.
Yeah, there's a couple of blokes that Daggy had in his list that's
Yeah.
released, but they've been
Yeah.
named for trials this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. So
that's
there
all
are
right, just
trials.
thought
I
I'd-
didn't put the trial stuff.
Because I believe he still had like a year left on his contract at South.
So their pickups for Souths, you've done well. Jai Arrow, Jacob Host, Josh Mansell, Benji Marshall, Tane Milne, and Tatua Moga. There's some outstanding
Just coming off the
shrewd
back
buys.
of the Dragons, why the hell would you let Jacob Host go out of that?
He was
pack?
out. He was, yeah.
He's a young kid. He hasn't reached the peak of his game, but fucking he was
great.
matching it with some of the
Tremendous.
best
Yep.
at different times during the year. Like,
Makes no sense to
it
me.
wasn't every week.
They have a very, very good team, South, and they finished last
Jai
year
Arrow
strong.
and Cameron Murray, man. Fuck.
So they're throwing. So they've named Murray at 30. We had the debate the other week, but Murray's named 13 on tomorrow night.
on the back of
Arrow's
fast
off the
play
bench. Kulamatungi is actually named starting second rower tomorrow night.
He's a super kid.
And Sewer, so that's tremendous. Totola, Burgess.
Latrell back. he
Latrell
was the
back.
year last
Latrell,
year.
and it was funny. We and Toddo, just for your information, we debated Latrell a lot.
I mean,
and
I
there was that
caught
one
shit
round.
all year, and I said, Latrell will good. He'll be all right.
He
He'll
came
come
good.
good.
He
He'll
came
come good.
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there was one game. It was probably around 12 or 13,
There was
14. He just turned up,
3 or 4
and it looked like
games
he
in a
stripped.
row.
He just lost. He stripped all the fat out of his body. He looked like baby face, and he just became.
It was 3
A
or 4
very,
games
very
in
good
a row,
fullback.
and then he got busted, which happens to the best of them. But he's passing. I didn't realise he had a passing game like that. Man.
Oh,
it's
that's
good.
Fuck,
outstanding.
he's
good.
got a good touch with the hands,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, to his credit, Bennett always said that. Bennett
and he's
always
got
said
pace. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't pass it,
As
he can
as
run
I've blown a plug,
he can run
there it
over.
is.
You blew that plug the other day, didn't you?
Or
Cody
plug it back
Walker,
in.
sensational last year.
Cody Walker round up in just woke up in Indigenous round last year, and then he realised, hey, I might do this every week.
Yep. So he's became.
He
became more
terrorised the
consistent.
Cody's always
centres and
been
back
good.
rowers, man.
Yeah. And Reynolds has been guilty of being an early pot plant, but I thought he was outstanding back end. And it wasn't just his kick. Obviously, we all know his kicking. this year he's got the point to prove because he's off contract. But his defence last year, there was times he was mowing down front rowers that would have run over him in
He's
another
one
year.
of the better defensive halves this year. He
And-
was just gone. Yeah, definitely.
Jaden Stewart.
Yep.
He was super at
He's
the
a
end of
gun.
last
Yeah,
year.
he's a freak,
Wayne
yeah.
Bennett
He's a gun.
wanted him. He got him, and I think, him in the back row next
I
year.
had
I
him.
wanted
I had
to
him cheap
see-
in Supercoach, and he never got there. And then by the back end, he did.
I wanted him.
Same as
and-
Campbell Graham, and then all of a sudden, once I sold him,
He scored a lot of tries.
he
at the end
scored
of
about
last
18 tries in
And now
3
you're going
games.
to have Arrow on the other edge, and then Murray up the middle.
Ian had the best year of probably the career. Dane Gagai was outstanding
year.
last year.
Usually he saves his best for Origin.
Yeah,
but
he always
Yeah,
saves
but
things for Origin.
Geez, he was good for South last year.
He was good for South.
So
last
they have
year.
lost Corey Allen, but Mansell going in. Mansell's in the top half a dozen hard-working wingers. Like he gives them,
Well, if
he
Mitchell
gives
stays
them
fit,
a hard
that's
yards.
probably better.
Yes,
for
of course
Souths,
it's better.
to be honest, because he's doing the dummy half scoop.
Mansell's doing the hard yards,
He's doing
taking
the,
outs.
getting them out of the back end,
And
which
Johnson's
Corey
always
Allen's
done
not going to do. And Corey Allen was chiming in on the back of backline plays, which Mitchell's going to do anyway. And then if Mitchell goes down, they shift Graham or Mansell back, or and
Yep.
they're going to do the same.
So,
sort of
so we've
stuff.
all waxed lyrical. What does that actually mean for this year, Barney?
I mean, they'll go very, very close to winning the competition. I've got them running second. I've got the Raiders are my top pick to win the
Yep,
comp,
we'll get to that.
just because of the depth that they've got in their squad. They could cop 4 or 5 injuries.
Now,
but
having watched Toddo, go.
I want
you
to
go.
see Mitchell just fucking own fullback because
I think
from
he will.
What he can do, if he does that, they probably do win the comp.
Yeah, I think they're one of the big chances.
Yeah, they're big
It's
dogs.
Wayne Bennett's last year coaching him as well, so they want to send him off well. I think Cook had a down year last year, so he's got a lot
He was
more
quiet.
Mm.
Yep.
to
Well, the
offer.
debate was
I'll
the
tell you right now,
the six again was going to be
Yeah,
old
suit
Beach
him.
Sprinter is going to be
beach
the
sprinter.
star. And
Was he a beach sprinter, was he?
Fucking
Hey,
Did you ever mention it? Has it been mentioned? Oh,
Hey, there was
well.
a time there.
Do you know he's a
right?
beach sprinter?
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
he was, yeah, he was a
national
state
champion,
Yeah.
man.
Okay. Well, if
But
he's a beach
he,
sprinter,
I
then the
didn't
new rules
think
should suit him.
he. I thought he was below par.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if he bounces back and plays like he
He has to.
he
Yeah.
has to, then Souths are a danger for the comp.
Well, Murray was pretty much the only bloke that was giving him quick play the balls last year. Now they've
Yeah.
got Arrow there that can do the same thing from an edge as well. So that gives him the whole field to work from one
And
side,
Tatola was good
which
as
was
well
why
So
I
Tyler's
think,
good. Colin
why I-
Matungi is said is a star in waiting.
I think that's why they put Murray on the edge at the start of the year, because they wanted to give Cook the whole field to play from with the quick
Yeah.
play the ball on the edges, but they just went, nah, it's not working. Shift him back to the middle, then he can go either way. If you've got that option from one side and the middle as well, should help.
Hey, well, one thing I have to.
And
Yeah.
Marshall, man, I don't know why
No,
nobody
well,
else bought Marshall.
Can we hold that?
Wow.
Yes.
Don't get it.
I just want to give raps to the master coach in Wayne Bennett, because he actually took a seat back last year when they were struggling and allowed Jason Demetria to take more charge, because obviously he's going to be the head coach moving forward.
He's the next guy.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think because I've always had big raps on Demetrio as a head coach. I can't wait for him to become head coach in the NRL. But again, I just want to give raps to Wayne Bennett for sitting back and letting Jason
He
take
did,
over, 'cause
and
when he did,
Cook, and it
that
was
was
quite
well.
public that he did as well. So
yeah, and towards the end of the year, you saw Damien Cook come out, Walker come out. They were playing good footy. Just imagine, as we've already touched on, Mitchell being healthy and fit, playing under
Oh.
that type of football.
now,
It's going to be good.
now you touched on it, Barney. Benji Marshall, we saw it in the All Stars game. You had to watch last week's game to see the control he had.
He was playing in tuxedo as well.
He can now
didn't
come
do
on.
any dirty stuff.
Like,
he
he's-
was
you-
just catch and pass and.
We'll get to Tigers, but honestly, I would actually be generally excited if we're Benji's here. That said, what a astute buy. He's picked him up cheap. He's going to play probably 17. He can come and play. He can play hooker because he did play hooker for Tigers. He can come on and through Origin, he gets to come in and play 6 for Walker, and you're not missing a beat. He
Well, the last
can be
3
a
or 4
game breaker.
shows
It's
that we did last year. Fucking how much was I go? Fuck Cronulla, go and get him. Like
Yeah, you
Johnson's
saying
out
all
for
the time.
8 weeks.
yeah.
Fucking go and get him. He can play 6 and then go back to 17 and fucking play 17. Like fucking what? What are you doing?
They've got.
Just go and
He's going to
get
be up and
him.
going. Bennett knows him. Bennett rebuilt him at Brisbane.
He's probably going to play the exact same role that he did when he
At
was
Brisbane,
up at
he
Brisbane.
can come on. He'll come on and finish games.
Origin time, come in, play. Someone gets busted, comes in,
Bennett's
plays.
just pulled the right rein there. I'm tipping Latrell. I'm actually sort of we sort of half knocked him
Latrell's
this
hard.
time last year.
But he's a hard one to put a finger
So
on.
I think. Okay, let's get the super coach Toddo because you're out of it. Latrell, yay, nay?
No, again, fullback.
Wanna
is
see?
Stacked.
Yeah, fullback is that.
Yeah, it's just not for me. But not saying I don't think he's going to have a bad year or anything. I think he looks super before he.
He's not the worst
unfortunately got injured.
backup option at fullback.
Well, I can
you know?
potentially
He's
get
gonna make a bit of
Latrell
money,
and
maybe.
RTS in the same team, and I'm happy with that to start,
Yeah. No.
given no turbo. Mansell, yeah, he's there. Campbell Graham overpriced right now, I think. He's quite high priced. And Cook, top of the market, but you're saying set and forget.
Yep.
And
It's hard 'cause
Jai
they're all-
Arrow's the one that we want to see.
They're all
how he
priced
fits in.
off last year's, what they did last year. Arrow probably was a bit down from last year, so he's probably a little bit underpriced for Supercoach. Murray's probably not going to make you any money, but if you're happy to go with a set and forget with Murray, probably not the worst one to pick. Kulamatungi's probably a little bit underpriced. He's someone that you could probably use as a bench forward.
If
and make
he's
some
been
money,
named this
but
week, if he starts, potentially I'd have to look at the price.
Jacob Host again, another
Jacob,
one.
I've always liked Jacob Host.
Probably get some money out of him and move him
And
on
flick
or
and
see what
forget.
happens.
Yeah.
But
Final word on South. I think they are in the conversation for a premiership. I think it's them and
Super
Canberra.
strong chance to win the comp. The only thing that I'm worried about is Reynolds' questions about what happens next year with his, is he going to be an ultimate professional and just play through it, or is he going to kick stones and get upset?
No, he's got to. He's got to get a job.
He's got a point to prove. He's got. He wants to stay.
He doesn't
at
need to get a job. He can get a job somewhere else.
Mate, he's got a point to prove.
If he wants to kick stones,
I'll
someone
tell you
else
now.
will sign him.
I'll tell you now, right? It's what it's going to be for Reynolds.
He wants to stay at South.
If he
He's been
doesn't
there
resign
forever.
with South,
Yeah.
he's going to the Super League.
Yeah.
You reckon? No, Tigers will sign him. I'll take him.
He'll go to the Super League.
All right, let's get
He
get
might
to
be
East.
the first halfback for the Brisbane fucking.
He
whoever
might be.
they
You
are,
know,
the Brisbane
and so
Jets.
that's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, 23.
So there are. Oh, that's 23. That's a long time. We're going to worry about that later.
Anyway,
East. East, who finished fourth last year after the red hot start, lots of injuries, an ageing team, but they've still got some depth. Heading into this year, they've. I have any notes. Where's my notes?
They got Adam Kieran and Joseph Suwali as gains.
I don't have any. They've got. Oh, here it is. Adam Kieran and Suwali
Is
coming.
Suwali going to be allowed to play?
Coming in after
reckon he will.
round, he'll get cleared. They've lost Orbison,
Nick will
Flanagan,
make sure it happens.
Fulma Ryan Hall's gone back, our man.
Did he score a
We're
try
missing-
last year?
No, he did not. Tupalutu just gone. Actually, Christian Tupalutu, not a bad. He gives something.
Yeah,
He's
he
something
gets
to
it
East.
right. Yep.
And Sonny Bill's gone.
Just
They
take
are
a
what they
premiership
are.
and Fuck off. And
Dual
get
premiership
back
winners
to
into
where
fourth
yeah.
last year. Toddo, how are you approaching the East side?
They're a professional team. They're similar to Melbourne. Robinson's going to have them all well drilled. They got class throughout the whole team. I mean, not having Cordner because of his concussion.
Yeah,
is
so
a
round
loss.
12, they want to give 12 Kubic, but that puts Tupanua into.
Yeah, who in his own
Second
right,
row is a
he ran
freak.
some great lines.
Yeah.
He was good last
They
year.
got the best player in the game, Tedesco.
Yep.
The best player, hands down.
Probably the best winger in the game, I would argue.
It's going to be how Kiri and
Tupa.
the new 5'8", if it's Lamb or if they go.
So,
Another-
Kiri to 7. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think it makes a difference. I think he's
He was
got
pretty
an
much
all-round
running
game.
the ship anyway
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
But you still look through this team. They've got Victor Radley to come back this year, Verrills as well, both from ACLs. I think Verrills will put pressure on Jake Friend for that starting spot.
Yes. Verrills is a star in waiting.
He is.
I'm convinced, yeah.
But overall, yeah, very strong team. They've got Morris brothers who just keep on keeping on. They just don't play bad games, those
The
two.
only thing that worries me is Kiri's kicking game. I think they need someone outside him that's got that long kicking game because Kiri's mid-range and short-range kicking is good, but that long pin him in the corners, turn him around. I don't think he's got that.
Do you have any Do you have any idea, Trev? So when Lockie Lamb's first started there, but on obviously Sam Walker, they've got that's their
Yeah.
go-to
Well,
eventually.
he's the man.
Is
apparently.
there and we saw Volkman in a trial look okay, but again it's short kicking and chip and chases in a trial game, whatever that means. Any intel there, Trev? Well,
Mate, I'm still a firm believer that they see Sam Walker as the future, and that I still reckon they're gonna go with Keary. But even if they threw Walker out at 6 anyway, it doesn't matter because you're only playing right side, left side anyway. And that,
he'll play 6. Yeah.
it's very rare these days that you see halves play both sides of the ruck.
It's just the 6 gets a little bit more when they
room.
do jump on the same side.
Yeah.
They get that little bit
Time.
extra time
Yeah,
to
that's
run
right.
and
So
gun and do whatever they do.
and that give Lamb a go, and that give Lamb.
He
a
was
go.
good, man, until he got busted.
Yeah.
He looked like a real good prospect, Lamb.
Give Lamb a go, and I'm still I'm not a Rooster supporter, but I was filthy on how they treated Flanagan.
I wasn't happy
he
with it.
done nothing wrong.
No, he
No.
didn't. And he gave him
I
that
agree.
structure
Yeah,
in that kicking
yeah.
game. And
You know
Yeah,
that all it is a positive for Canterbury, and now it's on him to prove.
Yeah, that's right. But end of the day,
I agree with you, but
like,
I'm going to lose sleep over
I
it.
know last year that there was thing of Lamb because this is all before the Kyle Flanagan
Yep.
drama happened there at the Roosters, but there was a good chance that Lamb was going to be leaving to go to England.
yeah,
Go over and link up with his old man.
That's
Yeah.
right at Wigan.
Well, that's
He's
why I
too
asked
young,
you
he's too
about Adrian Lamb's coaching aspirations. Is he looking to come back? If Robbo's going,
Mate, to be honest,
the word
I-
is
to be
Robbo's
honest,
going
I
to
don't think-
France.
Fitzgibbon's
Oh,
getting
well,
that job.
Robbo's like the coaching director or something over in France now. Like he'll still coach NRL, but he'll
Yeah.
still have that role with
But
France.
he's misses his French, and his kids are
Yeah, but then
French. But
but end of the day, like will Lamb ever be a head coach in the NRL? The answer will be no.
okay,
He will never be a head coach in the NRL. We come back be an assistant. Well, that's up to him. But I think the next head coach of the Roosters, if Robbo leaves, will be Craig Fitzgibbon.
yeah, I think, and that's his
Sitting in
green for.
the
He's
passenger
turned down.
seat.
He's
He's
turned
turned
down
down
jobs.
He turned down whole
St. George.
FC.
St George and Cowboys, I believe.
That's right, and whole FC.
He's been sitting in the passenger seat for what
He knows it's coming.
7 years now.
Okay, so if Adrian Lamb's not coming back, is there a coach over there that will? Surely it's not like a Stephen Price or someone.
Stephen Price is in his final year at Warrington,
Yeah.
so he would never get another head coaching job in the NRL. If anything, he'll just get an assistant.
Yep.
And I was actually shocked when Warrington actually signed him, to be
Okay.
honest with you, as the head coach.
He just wants you to say that Tim Sheens is going to come back and coach the Tigers.
No, not
Tim Sheens is on his pension at Widners
Yeah.
in the championship.
Good on him. Yeah,
So,
good on him.
yeah, no, mate.
Slang is Paul Haymack or since house. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I can't see at the moment any coaches.
Let's
actually
get back
coming
to talking
Yeah, let's
about
get
the
talking.
Roosters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's not
Roosters.
much
So,
to say.
but let's get. Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Professional.
My thing for Roosters is same as Melbourne, but and they're now coming off a year where there's no World Club Challenge. There's no. I think Roosters come up so hot. So they've lost the first round in the last 10 years or
7, 10
something.
years, yeah.
They're coming out hot, but I think actually age will catch up with the back row, the back line towards the back end because you got the two 36-year-old Morris brothers, Ed Manu, and then Corden is out, and Takiaho.
Hargraves.
But what I can count is Verrills is a star in waiting. Verrills could end up taking over.
Lindsay Collins star.
Lindsay Collins is a star, and then we haven't even talked about Victor. Victor's, if he's fit and firing, does he play lock?
He
Play-
starts at hooker, I think.
No.
No.
I think he starts. No.
No, he plays
He's my
lock.
super coach team. No.
Yes, yeah.
he plays. No, he
Plays lock, and he hurts a lot of
He
people.
plays lock. Man, fuck. How good was he? Like
He's defence.
from when that season they won the comp, and then until he got busted, man, he was one of the
the
best
shining
on the
one.
field.
But his
I'll tell you now,
every
he would have
fucking
been
week.
the lock for New South
Every
Wales.
week. He belts blokes when they run at him. He's got decent pace, decent feet, and a good passing game as well. And he's a big body. He's just a fucking lunatic and wants to get on the piss. So we just
So
absolutely
he gets
love
me a
him.
pressure. We should pick a Footy and Frothies first 13 because him and the Cheese will be the first two in.
Munster
You
as
know
well.
what?
Yeah, Munster,
I'm
Mad Dog.
expecting big things for this year, and he showed it during Origin. Angus Crichton, the way he played for New South Wales in Origin, if he comes back that with the Roosters, watch out.
Yeah, their 4-pack's tremendous. And then you got, like I said, Takiar, Tupanua. Supercoach wise, Toddo, anyone you're touching here? Anyone you're just too
You're a
expensive?
brave man if you don't start with Teddy. You don't want to be death riding him.
No, I'm not definitely, but 800, I couldn't start with him. But
Yeah,
if he
but
scores
he
3
averaged
foot.
20 points more than the next player
That's
last
right.
year. It's pretty big.
Manu's been my
average
man
more
for a
points
couple
than
of
most
years. We haven't mentioned him, but Joey Manu, tremendous.
I heard Miskelby's last year, Joey Manu.
He wants to play fullback
Rugby.
somewhere else. I
Yeah.
think.
He wants to play fullback.
Yeah.
I mentioned this. I mentioned this round 10 last year. If
you want a
Tigers were
fullback.
trying to chase a fullback that wasn't a fullback, go and spend money on Joey Manu.
That's right. You did say
He's a
that.
star.
Yep.
He is a star.
Rory
Mate,
Hargraves.
they've got a great squad.
But like, yeah,
Bradley's-
Rory Hargraves too old, but then you go, it doesn't matter because
he's
friggin'
just a beast.
Lindsay
and
Collins
he's
will
nasty
play
and
anyway, so
cranky.
it doesn't matter. So
Bradley's super important to this team. I'm looking forward to watching this team. Actually, I think they're going to run second or third. Cordner's a big question mark, obviously, with around what's happened to him. Does he get back on? Does he get back into the team? Does he play another game of football?
yes, walk straight back in,
Should he?
which he's fit. I don't. I think 12 weeks off. They've obviously got. So I think they've got Chris
Obviously, you
Nowinski
do all
involved.
the MRI scans and stuff.
I think Chris Nowinski's
but-
involved from the America, who is probably the preeminent brain surgeon dude. He's a former pro wrestler and understands the what's the word ECT
ECG, brain scans.
Anyway, yeah, the brain issues.
Collins and-
CTE it is.
Yeah.
CTE, sorry.
CT, yeah. Collins
He's the
and-
preeminent CTE specialist, and yeah, they have 12 weeks off. You give him 6 months off.
He had 12 weeks off during the year last year as well. So
Should he play again? Well, they'll know by then.
we've had this discussion
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah, we've
many
had this
times
before.
last
All
year.
right, Barney, hand me a beer because
Collins and Butcher, they're young kids on the rise. They could be anything.
Butcher's great, and yeah, they've got stars coming through. Verrills,
They need to
Butcher.
involve Manu more, which we've all said. Just half the season they went the other way. Manu basically didn't touch the ball for half the fucking year.
Yep.
And he's a
Because then
game
injuries
breaker.
happened, and then Teddy got injured. He played fullback as a freak. He averaged 90 at fullback for 3
I've got
games.
him running thirds.
Pass me a beer, because let's get to
Are we
it.
going to have? You reckon
Yeah.
any listeners have, stayed the
Yeah, is
journey,
any of
stayed the
if,
trip?
if,
Yeah.
you're, if
they
anybody's
do, mate.
left listening to this,
Oh, they'll stay.
if I ever
Anyway.
see your face, I'll buy you 7 beers. Just
The
come
West
and find me,
Tigers,
and I'll buy you 7 beers.
11th last year. We've lost Benji Marshall, Chris Lawrence, Chris McQueen, Robert Jennings, Matt Eisenhuth, Harry Grant, Sam McIntyre, Josh Alloway, Josh Reynolds, Elijah Taylor, Kane Bradley, and Moravsky. Wow.
But did you
What about
really
team?
lose Harry Grant? Because he was only on one.
Don't talk about it. We've picked up James Roberts, Stefano Otokamano, Tamo, who's been appointed captain, Jock Madden, Simpkins, Sini's been promoted from reserve grade, Offhang Gowe, Tui Simpkins, and Dane Laurie.
I'm hoping Zach Sini makes his first grade debut.
There is a rap on him. There's a rap on him. I think he'll play. I think all the way through has been. I think COVID cruelled him last year.
If he doesn't get 10
Okay, I'll talk
games,
about
I'll be
Yeah.
surprised.
I know from his mouth essentially, COVID cruelled his chances. last
I
year.
know it did.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. I won't say on air what I know, but I'll say off air. But yeah, it did hurt his chances.
I think we've discussed this here. The Tigers. So I may as well kick off. I would be actually. I think they've done a very, very good job in what they've signed.
Yep.
I'm actually excited. If it's not this for next year, I wish we still had Benji at 6. If we had Benji at 6, I'd be super excited. It would almost be borderline top 8. We still need a spine.
You're not saying ninth, are you?
That's
That's why I said borderline top 8. Damn it. As it sits, we'll see. But I think Dane Laurie is a great signing. Toddo, Dane Laurie.
To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of him. I have heard the raps. He did look pretty comfortable in the first few games he played last year in the top grade.
Yeah.
And they were very keen to get him this year. So I'm excited to watch how he goes this year.
Yeah, obviously Jimmy Roberts, if he's fit and firing, is a Origin centre. Simple as that.
He has been.
He's had his issues. They keep saying he's fit. Tommy Taylor looks like a star. I like Dewey to 6. I forecast that last year. Yeah, 7's an issue. I love the forward pack now. I like the Tamo's there. Gives us. We had no bodies last year. Now we've got Tamo, Offengawe. It gives
Cheekham if he stays on the field.
Cheekham,
Luciano
12,
was good.
potentially back to 13. 12, Garner, McKaylee.
12 was an absolute god for
Yeah,
like the
took
first
it out.
8
Took
it
rounds
out.
last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Man. He was absolutely
So
killing
the
it.
forwards are so much hope. There is a lot of hope for me.
Sean Ball.
And Sean Blaw's out to round 8. But this
broke his wrist or
Okatamano
something.
from every Parramatta fan that I've talked to, including Damo, who
Yeah.
will be on the show here, tells me he's an absolute superstar in waiting.
Mate, Damon's only going off what he sees on Facebook, mate. He never went down and watched reserve grade and junior reps.
No, he's a big body, man.
Yeah, I
and
know.
He's pretty
good,
quick.
Mate. He is good.
And then Simpkin looked good last week. Hookers, obviously, at the end of the day, his spine is a big concern. Luke Brooks, it's his make or break year. I am
Mate, I don't know how he's
not
still
confident
playing
yet,
first
but we got Simpkin, Little, Hooker, not confident. But I think Laurie and Dewey offer us something. Jock Madden, there's a spruik on. I didn't see a lot from him last week, but
No, he was pretty average.
but the 2 hookers looked okay. A lot of
Trial
confidence.
game.
I think we'll be okay. We'll beat a lot of teams. We'll beat some shitty teams,
You're not
and
going to beat a lot of teams.
I'm thinking
You'll beat some teams, but you're not going to beat a lot
yes.
of teams.
I'm thinking top 10, and that'll probably do
I
me.
mean,
But
the trial game, you had Jock Madden in there, and the last 15 minutes of that trial game, all they did was give the ball to Laurie, who was playing 6, who should be playing fucking fullback. And he just sort of ran at him and went, "Where's everybody else?" And there was nobody there. But
Yeah.
you know, he's surrounded
Hey.
by kids and all the rest of it.
Did you not say on the bold prediction show that the Tigers had the best forward pack?
yeah,
I wanted to rate the Tigers higher
Thank you.
than I have, but I can't. There's too many questions around the spine. They've strengthened their pack, and it's a good pack. But it'll get them a few unexpected wins. They'll probably bounce a few teams just through the middle, but
When your best player,
I've got them running 13th.
when your best player is a winger, you know, you're probably gonna have a bit of a long year. Norfoluma,
And then 12 probably. Yeah.
I think James
Tarmow.
Tamo's a tremendous asset. But
Tarmow's massive.
Toddo, your thoughts? Anything to add?
I like the Tigers. I have a soft spot for them, but I just think looking at that lineup and the way that Madge tries to, condition and get his teams to play, I don't know if they've got the players to fit how he wants them to play. You've got the Leilua brothers who are a bit enigmatic, like to offload, like to play, a bit of second
And
phase.
Luciano was absolutely outstanding.
He was
last
he
year,
was
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I just don't know where the class in that team is going to be to beat the better teams. They'll try hard all year, and I just don't see them push them for the 8.
Okay. Trev, anything to add?
Mate, I caught up with Witchy, I know Lou, about 4 weeks ago, or was it just before Christmas? Anyway, I know it was not that long ago. And he's looking pretty fit, he's looking healthy, he's looking strong, and I said to him, I said, "How's the environment at the moment at Tigers?" And he goes, "Mate, it's probably one of the best times I've been there."
Bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
There is a lot of good vibes coming out. I think.
Well,
I guess. we'll
Tarmow's
see.
a leader, man. He brings that. He's
Yeah.
just got that. You can see it, like when they're playing games. When you pin on your own 10-metre line and they get the hooker's looking for someone, Tarmow's the bloke that just goes, "Fuck it, give it to me. I'll get smashed. That's fine."
Yep.
I just miss the old Tigers when they'd concede 38 and they'd score,
And score
40.
50.
Yeah.
and they'd win. I used to love
But
watching them play.
Madge is changing the culture. I get what he's doing, and I'm glad they renewed him for 2 years. So I guess he's. We talked about O'Brien earlier. I guess that is it. So that completes our wrap. It's crunch time now, boys. After we're into the Charger here, 3.5 hours into deep.
Yeehaw.
All right.
Do I get paid by the hour? Or
Yeah, you do by nuts.
Yeah, you got one big
cashew.
one. It's fine.
Mate.
All right,
Couple of
let's get
chicken
into your top 8, David Harvey.
Right. So I've got the Raiders winning the comp. Just on the back of the depth of the squad, I've got Souths running second, Roosters at 3, Storm 4, Penrith 5, Parramatta 6, Newcastle 7, and the Titans at 8.
Actually, let's extend it. If you can keep going, or you can give
I've
us.
got the whole lot.
Go for it.
So then we've got the Warriors at 9, Sharks at 10, Manly 11, Cowboys 12, the Tigers 13th, Broncos 14th, Dogs 15th, and the Dragons for the wooden spoon.
Toddo?
We'll go to Trev first.
Trev, you got.
I don't really have a top 8 as such. But
Well,
Okay,
I'll
give us your top four. Top four.
top 4. I reckon Melbourne will be minor premiers.
Yep.
Canberra Raiders second. South Sydney third. And I'm going to go Roosters fourth.
I'm going to go Raiders, Souths, Melbourne, Para. Actually, to finish fourth. East, Penrith, Titans, Tigers, Newcastle, Broncos, Eagles, Warriors, Sharks, Bulldogs, Cowboys, Dragons to round out the bottom. I'm going to, from that, say that, Raiders, I think South's the team to beat.
Yeah, I'll give a top 8. I've got Raiders, Panthers, Storm, South, Roosters, Titans, Eels, and Warriors. So from last year, I've got Newcastle and Cronulla dropping out, and I'm going to back the Titans and Warriors to make their way in.
Outstanding.
Many people will.
All right, couple of the final few questions. Do you have a buy of the year, Barney boy?
Oh, I think Tino. Tino Fa'asuamaleaui is going to be the buy of the year. What he did at the Storm, and he's going to be given ultimate reign at the Titans. Like, he's going to be their marquee man. He'll be better than Fafita.
Yes, I agree with the fact that he's a better buy than Fafita.
He'll be one of the best back rowers in the game.
Toddo.
I don't know if I've got a stand-out best, but I'll go Fanua Blake. He's a massive signing.
Oh, yeah.
He could be the best front row in the game, and in that environment, I think he's going to have a massive year.
Trev?
I took it off.
Melbourne?
Fanua
mate.
Blake.
Why not? I'm just going to say, in the grand scheme of winning grand final, Benji Marshall. Do you have a rookie of the year, boys? It's a hard year to stamp any, so you don't have to.
Off our prediction year, I went Ben Trebojevic. And if I think if he gets more than about 15 games,
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up there.
I don't think Ben, if he does make his debut this year, he'll probably make it. I don't think he'll get as many games to actually classify as a rookie season.
I think it's five games rookie, isn't it?
I reckon next year will be his rookie season.
You don't think you get more than 5 games this year?
No.
In that squad? Oh, man, that back row is pretty thin.
No,
I think
he won't play back row.
No, and they're spruiking him.
I think
Danny
they'll play him
Wilder's
in the
already
back
had
row.
for 7 years with him. Danny Wilder's camping outside his fucking house right now.
I think he might even end up playing 13, and his older brother will end up playing in the front row.
Yeah, fair enough. Toddo?
I'll go Charlie Staines. Yeah, he only played, I think, 2 games last
he's eligible.
year.
Okay.
On the back. They have a pretty good back line there.
All right,
Yeah,
final
nice.
words. Dally M? No. Jake Simpkin, if he plays hooker?
Dally M will beat a wizard, mate. Harry Grant.
Grant?
Yep. I reckon he would have got Dally M last year if he didn't get injured.
Would have gone close.
I got to mention Ollie's tipped Gutho for Dally M. Toddo?
I'll go. It's a bit of a flawed system when you're in a stacked team and you've got others to take points off you.
Yep.
In saying that, I will go Dylan Brown.
Dylan Brown, nice.
I'm
Barn?
tossing up between a few, man. There's a couple there. I think Georgie's probably going to have the best year of his career this year, and I think he might be up there.
Who's that, sorry?
Georgie Pie.
George Williams.
Georgie Pie, George Williams. Georgie Pie. You know Georgie Pie?
He knows Georgie Pie now.
No, but Georgie Pie. Do you know what Georgie Pie is? It's a pie from New Zealand called Georgie Pie.
I do now.
He is a Georgie Pie. I am actually...
Cody Walker is going to go close. I think he's going to be on the end of pretty much everything, and when they score points, he's going to be the flash guy that's going to get the numbers. But if Pappenhausen's kicking goals and scoring tries and fucking I think Ryan Pappenhausen.
I am going to actually agree with Ollie Gutho. I think Gutho Para. You're probably banking a couple of points every week, and Gutho for him. For Dally M, Any ad boys, Toddo, any final... We haven't asked you about the ultimate Supercoach choices. Do you want to keep your powder dry for a week, or you want to...
Yeah, mate, I'll hold on to that information.
All right. Trev, any plugs you want to get in?
No, not really, mate. No plugs at all.
No, that's right. And Barney boy?
Footy and Frothies. Like, subscribe.
Yeah, so we are Footy and Frothies.
That's right,
If
Footy and
you've made it this far in, you've probably watched 3 of the Lord of the Rings, so it's good. But we have made it this far into our most comprehensive season preview of time. We do this each and every week on a Wednesday night, the full season, the full round review, and it's full round preview. Toddo, I hope you're going to come back and chime in for a few of these, have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
We've got our rotating cast. You can come in and join us anytime at the Gums and have fun. Trev, I wish you all the best in your move next week, buddy. You're moving to Piedmont to pull all the chicks on the balcony there.
Nice.
So we do have a rotating cast. So each and every week we will be here to do our 2 hours of reviews and previews.
Yeah, I'll probably come out every second week.
You come out and drop in. Ollie, in his opinion, will join us from Rugby League, in his opinion. And Damo will join us at the Colonial. He's very spirited, so he'll be there too. So a very good rotating cast. You'll get Barney and I each and every week. Barney boy,
Yeah.
well done, mate.
Yeah.
We will do it again. Looking forward to it. So we'll be back next Wednesday to talk about trials. Until then, I've got to probably play some music and wind this up.
Games.
And good luck, everyone. Check out Show Us Your Tips for the betting tomorrow. But other than that, talk to everyone about footy next week.
How'd you go tonight?
Don't talk about it.